Hello, I'm ABX Toycat and welcome back to a live stream on the internet. So, did you know that I hate sand? It's coarse, it's rough, and it gets everywhere. Ha ha ha, reference, am I right? But no, in all seriousness, sand is awful as a block. I think it's really useful in a couple of specific ways, but leaving it in the ground, leaving stacks of it around like most deserts do, is arguably a pointless task. And one of the tasks I have in my big, endless survival world now is to destroy the big desert over here. The reason behind that is because I started this world years ago, and even though there are desert blocks everywhere, i.e. there's sand all over the ground, and below that sand is sandstone, despite there being sand everywhere in this world, it's not a desert. And you'll see at some point it can start raining here because it counts as like a weird forest slash plains biome right now. It's a plains biome with sand there, and I feel like we need to fix that, and one of the parts of fixing that is to destroy all of the sand. So that's what we're doing in today's video for around about 100 minutes. But first, let's watch the sunset and say hello, I'm ABX Toycat. Hope you are having an excellent Thursday evening, by the way. Hi, hello. Good to see everyone. Well, I mean, by see, I mean see your usernames. You can see me physically, to some extent, but I see a bunch of usernames saying hi. Most of which I hope are true. Like, you know, Max Wilson, I hope you're a real person. Same Hunter Bacon, and Squid Banana, and weird Chinese characters, followed by Coco 30. You know, all of you fellas, I hope you're all real people. And if you're not, then let's do a live stream to pretend people destroying the desert. And by destroying the desert, I don't mean just this bit over here, because this is now pretty much destroyed, right? But I mean that bit over there as well, because there's a huge secondary segment we kind of need to get around to. So we're just going to be doing all of that today. It's going to be a big old destruction that also involves this river being entirely destroyed, because I put sand in it to replace the water. And you know, let's get rid of the sand in this too, because why not, right? So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, I think. And by fun, I mean a lot of repetitive actions towards the same task. While we talk about other things, the first one, someone's gonna bring this up, and one of my big points around this is how I really don't want to talk about it. But let's talk, you know, real talk here about. Actually, first. The big thing, it'll come up again. I don't have to worry about it. But sand. I don't understand why sand holidays, beach holidays, whatever, are the most desired type. People pay thousands or hundreds of thousands. I mean, people pay individually thousands and as a collective millions to go on beach holidays, which is so much more expensive than anywhere else. Like, do you want to go to insert Eastern European country here, you know, go on a city break for a weekend? Yeah, you can do that for less than £100 per person, quite easily, or dollars, or, I mean, not dollars, because not from America, but do you want to go to this very popular beach that's very full in the south of Spain? Well, that's going to cost you several hundreds, plus, you know, all the taxes. It's like, what? Why are the beaches that darn popular? Especially hot beaches, and although heat is something we talk about all day, sand is the worst thing. Sand is legitimately, you know, I'm talking real here. I know I made the Star Wars reference earlier, but sand is legitimate. Oh, I thought I'd get the dead bush back, but I got sticks, my bad. But sand is legitimately one of my least favorite things because, okay, every time I get sand on me, by the way, thank you Blake101 for the £3 super chat. Didn't need the money anyway. You have stuck to your commitment, and I admire that, Blake. You know, that is something we don't see much of on the internet, but I appreciate it anyway. But if you don't know, he's been donating £3 exactly to every live stream for some time. I've been enjoying it. I will admit that is something I do personally like. You can do it via Streamlabs in the description if you want to make sure YouTube doesn't take a cut. It doesn't bother me which you use, of course, but I will mention in the description that's there. But every time I get sand on me, it's my immediate thought is like, how am I getting this off? Admittedly, some places, you know, like if it's a place with a pool and a beach and whatever else, it's like, okay, I'll just have sandy, awful, wet feet for a while, and then eventually I'll switch out, you know, like in the pool or whatever. But I think it's rude to put sand in the pool. I just do it anyway because I want to get it off me as fast as I can. But my point here is like, why pay so much more to go to places where you get this awful stuff stuck to you? You know what, snow's great because you can play in it, and then when you're done, it turns into water. Sand is awful because you play in it once, and then 6 years later, you're going to find sand in your hair or your scalp or whatever. Oh, my camera's not right. It's just an awful thing. By the way, big thank you to Summer Storm for the $5 super chat. Hey Toycat, I love downloading your videos and watching them at home while I play Doom. Honestly, you're one of my favorite creators, so buy something nice. Thank you very much, Summer Storm. I appreciate the super chat, because of course, if you download the videos, they don't play the ads, which means they don't, you know, do all the revenue things that make this whole thing work. So I appreciate sending in the super chat, Summer Storm. I'm glad you like them, and I assume you mean 2017 Doom, or 20... Yeah, 2017 Doom. That's still a game I really want to get round to. I've just been waiting for it to be like maybe a Switch game or something like that. I know it's on Switch, but like, you know, a cheap Switch game. Because spending like £40 for a year-old game just feels wrong to me. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I should just be like, you know, I'm a YouTube game or whatever. But no, so yeah, when it comes to Doom 2017, cool game. It looks so good. Every time I see gameplay, I'm like, I need to play this. And then I'm like, oh, that price tag makes me not want to play this. It's kind of just the long story short on that one. So yeah, basically, when you get sand on you, no matter what you do, it's stuck there forever. And I just, in my opinion, we should have sandless beaches. There needs to have a type of beach with like, I can't even imagine like clay. Or like, you know, clay's also kind of bad. Like, something soft. What's the softest material we have? Like a giant trampoline that then goes into the water. That's the dream right there. But no, people love sandy beaches. I even had a teacher once. I don't know what this was for. Like, she made us do like some meditation exercise where I was like, okay, imagine you're in a nice place. Or now I have YouTube Premium. Also 1993 on Xbox Live Arcade. Oh no, if you have YouTube, oh, as in you download them through the YouTube app. Okay, that's all good then. Because so yeah, pro tip, YouTube Premium, it gives, so again, most YouTubers won't promote this because they'd rather you spend money on them. I will say, if you have some spare money to spend on YouTube, spend on YouTube Premium, support every creator you watch, because depending on the types of videos, it can be double, triple, quadruple as much via YouTube Premium. I have a video, in fact, that earns like half, like, even though YouTube Premium videos are like, you know, 2% or something, of the overall people who watch something, it's like, you know, half of it comes from that. It's like, yeah, go tweak it. But anyway, let's not talk about money too much, because money is a thing. Well, I mean, I guess besides the donations which come in and are on screen, but let's not talk about money too much besides the fact that we're talking about money indirectly. And you're advocating for Wave Pools, Toy Cat? No, I mean like actually, that's kind of a cool thing too. Also, a big thank you, Melody Lewis, for the $5 super chat. Okay, I've wanted to ask you this for a while. Given that you're friends of Grian, is there a chance you'd ever join the Hermits? I'd love to see that, says Melody Lewis. So here's the deal, the Hermits, I don't know who is the guy in charge or whatever. I don't know what the whole scoop is. Oh, okay, we gotta deal with another one just after. It is. Thank you so much for the crazy love on some sand destruction today. So first of all, I want to just quickly say the Hermit thing, I don't know who's in charge of the decision. At one point, they... you know, I asked, so I have 2 Hermit friends, I had maybe? It's confusing, but I asked someone and I was like, oh yeah, just like, you know, what's the process to join? They're like, oh, so every 6 months we have a Hermit meeting and we discuss new members, and they didn't want me. They didn't want me, I'm just not valuable enough. And yeah, honestly, I think it's because they're Java players and I play Bedrock mostly. Like, it doesn't really make so much sense to cross over. That's my feeling, that's my understanding. But, you know, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. So yeah, oh, and yeah, that's the whole thing there. So yeah, long story short, that's your, that's the story. I don't know why or whatever it's from, but that's, again, it's really weird to be like, oh, I mean, you know, like that, when it's a group of YouTubers, I don't usually do great with groups anyway. You know, like, I'm friends with Graham because we have a lot of the same goals in helping out. Oh, by the way, big thank you, Mario Maniac, for the £7.50 super chat. I'll get back to the other one I missed, by the way. We got a lot of stuff to go through. But they say, you said for £7.50 you would... Oh, man, I missed it. I missed what the thing was. I'm going to have to go on Streamlabs, and I'm going to have to load that up. See, this is so, okay, in the meantime, okay, I know it's Donation Central. I'm going to get around to everyone. Don't worry, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But I just want to make sure we stay focused while we do this. Because it's Donation Hype Train today. It's just going crazy. Thank you for the love, everyone. This is absurd. This is crazy. I'd say too much. You know, everyone always says, like, this is too much. And a part of me's always thinking, like, you don't think it's too much. You think this is just the right amount, don't you? But, so, Semi-Neon says, I love your videos. You're an inspiration to upload more on my Minecraft YouTube channel. Thanks for the awesome content, says Semi-Neon. Thank you very much, Semi-Neon, for calling me an inspiration. I hope that your Minecraft stuff does do well. I feel like we're in, like, a resurgence of Minecraft now. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I see that differently. But I feel like there's definitely, like, oh man, I'm just okay. I'm loading up the previous messages. We have to get to them still. Don't worry. I see them. They all rolled in like a good way. So Marimanic says, if you add everyone on Discord for £7.50, you know, I'm gonna add everyone on Discord now. It's gonna be great. If someone smiles at me, I think it's too much, to be quite honest, as fuckers. Honestly, like, you know, okay, so that's a different thing. Everyone has a currency they want to be paid in, right? It took me a while to work that one out, because, you know, I would like to, this is something that you know, people call you lots of negative terms on the internet for, but I think money is great. Like, you know, money is your way of saying, hey, you now have a gift voucher to get something you like in your life that will improve it. That's something, you know, like if you're really rich, it's still a tiny amount of financial security, but you know, like if you send in $3, what is that enough for? Like a Big Mac or something? I mean, after YouTube, yeah, that's roughly correct, I want to say. I hope I did the maths right there. But yeah, so, you know, it's like, hey, here's the gift voucher everywhere. But I think some people are like, hey, okay, so money's not my currency, social interaction is my currency. If you like me, maybe write me a note and then leave it somewhere. Or like, you know, everyone has something that's great to receive from other people, which is the wonderfulness of human exchange. So now I'm going to go back for the super chat that I missed. And we're going to go for Electropolo, who says, here I am giving money again. When will you join my realm again? Sorry being annoyance. Use this to buy something to eat, I guess. That is spooky that I said all of that, and then previously he'd said, like, make sure you use this to buy something to eat. So, suspicious if you ask me. But, yeah, so the realm thing, I'm temporarily pausing joining realms. It's just, whenever I have, like, a realm system, and I'm like, okay, so I joined realms via this way, people just are like, oh, why haven't you joined my realm yet? And they get angry about it, and it's like, I'm sorry, you know, I was doing it as a fun thing. I don't want to feel obliged to, you know, do something. In the same way, you know, everyone has, like, a thing they love to, you know, receive, and a thing they love to give, and a thing they hate to receive, and a thing they hate to give. I think that's universally true. Money's nice, but have you tried a sincere smile from a cute girl you don't know? Okay, you know, I'll agree with that. Like a nice cute smile that's like, hey, my validation, no, my existence is validated. That's nice too. I'll give that up. You know, that's a good point. Wouldn't it be nice if instead of smiles, you know, like random strangers just gave you a bit of money, like, hey, I think you look good. Well, actually, this is going a very dangerous direction. So I'm gonna back down on that previous thought I was just going with. People smiling and looking at me just makes me uncomfortable. I take money over social interaction any day. I think it took me a long time to appreciate the smile game. It took me a long time. Like I was literally, let's call it like 17 or 18 or something. That, you know, like a lot older than you would expect this story to take place at. No, not 17, 16 or 15, maybe 17. But like it was like that age where I was like, you smile at people, and it takes a little bit of like, it's almost like putting yourself out there, you know? And then someone else shows they're putting themselves out there, even just a tiny bit, and then it starts being more reflexive, and then like, oh yeah, well this is just a fun way to do that. So yeah, but I do think smiling is like, it's an interesting, weird game on that level of like, oh yeah, so, you know, they're showing they're putting themselves out, and I'm putting it. I don't understand any of it, but you know, I am pro smiling, and you know, just for all of you watching right now, have a smile. Oh man, the thing is like, as soon as you see your own smile, you're like, well, looks like I'm never smiling again. At least I know, I feel like you look your best when you're smiling, generally speaking, most people do. But it's also a bit like, if you do like your almost smile, like you're kind of pushing yourself. Because you know, here's the worst thing. If I do like a 90% smile, my like mouth twitches, and it looks like I'm a serial killer. Not a serial killer. I mean, a serial killer is usually pretty similar across the board, but a serial killer, and it's like, because my like right side, you know, it's a whole thing. Twitching is bad. I think any involuntary movement, I'm not sure why, but it's universally the sign of, hey, this guy might kill you in your sleep, so better watch out for him. And I get that signal for myself, so I bet a lot of people have had it from me too, which is always nice. Your videos always make us smile. Oh. That's a good reaction. You know how when people say like lol on the internet, what they really mean is, oh, this made me exhale air through my nose at slightly more than the normal rate. I feel like there's a similar thing with like, yeah. You know, when people say this video is really funny, it's like, I smiled a little bit in the middle there. But it's still a positive reaction. I think, especially the newer type of content, I've been going for like, you know, hopefully you have some fun times with the video. And it's nice to know that you did. Because I think, in brief, that there's like kind of a shift in like, especially like as a game gets established between like, just like, oh, here's some things you need to know about the game, to more like, oh, everyone knows everything there probably is to know about the game, so here's some things you need to know about. I don't know, like, the world, here's some comedy or whatever. He's cracking our codes, says Zack Zombie 2003. Toycat, I think you should have your own Xbox cape, says Yes Pinto. I mean, I already have my own Xbox skin. Look, it's Minecraft Bedrock, but I'm an Ocelot. That's a high enough praise for me, honestly. Not praise even, but just like, you know, that makes me feel good enough. So sure. So Cat, how old is your Let's Play World? It's about 8 years or something like that. So anyway, today, by the way, I watched the Ralph Breaks the Internet, whatever it's called, the new Wreck-It Ralph movie. And actually, I want to quickly give a recommendation, not just to watch this particular one. It's a fun Disney etc. movie. It has a lot of references to the internet, so if you like that, that's kind of fun. But I want to say, one of the things I always recommend is like sometime go and watch a movie at like 2 p.m. or something. Even a fairly popular new movie. There were 2 other people in there with me, and sometimes they left like together to go to the bathroom. I'm not sure if there's a reason behind that. Maybe like people who also go at the middle of the day are like also have some weird things. But like there are so many things in life that are improved the fewer people that are doing them with you. There is an endless list. There are very few times I think to myself like, if only it was more crowded right here. There's kind of this expectation that like, yeah, the more people there are, the worse. Not only is it the worse it gets, but because demand is higher, the more crowded it generally is. It's a whole crazy thing. I took Lincoln's dad at 11:30 AM for his first theatre experience. Look at that. We got the Americanized version. Oh, I should also clarify. But see, a cinema is the UK version of a movie theatre. Look at that. Now you've learned both American and English. I love your videos, Toycat. And do you have a fish tank? Says yes, Pinto. That's a very, very specific and bizarre question, Justin, right? Oh no, that's not Justin Wright, that's Yes Pinto. And Justin Wright says, I'll give you money, but I don't have cash income right now. It makes it sound like you have another type of income, like, well, I don't get paid in cash, but let me just tell you, if you ever need, some pinto beans, I guess I got it from the other guy's name. You ever need some kidney beans, I got you sorted, because I get paid a buttload of those. But yeah, no, so go through the real thing. I don't have a fish tank. I don't have any pets where I live right now because I travel a lot and I don't want to, like, put the pet at, like, distress. Personally, that's my opinion. And also, yeah, most things, the more people there are, the worse it gets. And that's a sad consequence of life. But sometime, don't you go say aluminium weird as well. I think there's a lot of differences. We could spend a whole video going through them, perhaps. In fact, wait, I think I did so, right? Yeah, go watch that. There we go. Toycat plugs Toycat. Everyone's favorite live stream version. Maybe he has jelly bean income, so there's not a dragon. Oh, I have an idea. I wanted to float because, like, so Kit Kat's told me this on Monday, and I was like, yeah, that's actually that's an idea right there. So I want your opinion on this one because I have some Bean Boozled, right? I got some years ago, and I did them on a Mokra stream, and it made me hate my life. You know, Bean Boozled, the downsides from the bad ones make up for the, because even good Bean Boozleds are like, okay, I guess I didn't have to eat baby vomit again. But I was thinking, because I'm doing an 8-hour stream, like a mega stream, it's going to be huge. I was thinking, like, as a fun little, like, super chat thing, like, oh, if you super chat $10 or 10, whatever your local equivalent is, we could eat, like, a Bean Boozled. Like, that could be a fun, because, a lot of times, I like when people super chat because they're like, hey, I'd like to support. But there are also people who are like, hey, yeah, actually, I'd prefer to support while also seeing you go through a bit of pain. That's just a thing everyone feels the same about on the internet. So, yeah, basically, what do you think about that as an idea? Like, oh yeah, so on this mega stream, it's going to be roughly 7 to 8 hours doing the whole thing. How long is Kit Kat staying? She's in France right now, so negative 3 days from now. No, she's in Europe for 5 or 6 days, maybe a week. I'm not sure. At what time are you going to start the stream? I'm currently planning 11 AM. Because I feel like that's good for every time zone. Besides, like West Coast America. Maybe midday is better for everyone. Yeah, I feel like midday through to like 8 PM UK time. And then after that, upload. Yeah, that sounds about right. So midday UK. No, actually 11 just so I can actually start like the beginning of my day and finish without wanting to be dead. That's the plan at least. So yeah, let's say 11 AM UK time. Which if you live in the East Coast of America is 6 PM. If you live in the West Coast, it's 3 AM, so get ready for a long evening. Or morning. That could be a fun thing. But yeah, what do you think of that about that as an idea? So again, if you don't know Bean Boozled, you get 2 types of jelly beans for the same color. You can't tell them apart. One is good, one is bad. And the bad ones, to read out some flavors here. are like skunk spray, dead fish, spoiled milk, bath, and booger. And last time I was like, it can't taste like booger. It tastes like booger. It's bad. So Cat, what are your thoughts on Deltarune? I think it's an interesting concept for a game. I haven't played it yet, though. That's a thing. I won't be able to make most of the stream because I'll be busy most Saturday, but I'll join at one point. It'd be cool to see you at least once, Froggy. Dang, maybe I should call out of work for it, says Lindsay Dillon. See, I'm not saying you should call out of work, because that would be irresponsible and me being a bad streamer, dad or whatever. But what I will say is that I wouldn't not condone you calling out of work. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, it's gonna be a mega all-day thing. If you feel like not all day, but like most of a day kind of thing. If you feel like that's a cool thing, maybe maybe work gets an off message, or maybe that's a bad idea. Again, I don't wanna. I feel like everyone has a different situation in their work with how hard or easy it is to like kind of cancel or not, and that depends on like, oh well, I mean, what do you need? What happens wrong when that actually happens? There's a whole set of processes, Dad. Yeah, I'm the stream's. I don't like the term daddy, which is what stream uses a lot, but you know, like I feel like stream dad is a fair comment here, right? That's what I usually tend to go with. Correct me if you disagree. I can be your stream, depending on your role you need in my life. I can be your stream son. I can be your stream husband. I can be your stream brother. I can be your stream male friend that you vaguely know that keeps sending you Facebook messages every now and then, wishing you a happy birthday, even though you don't respond and you feel a bit weird about that. You know, I can be a lot of these. I'm just a hostess, so no big deal. Is that? I have no idea what a hostess is. Like in my head, like airline hostess, but I know it's not that because I feel like they call them different. But you know, I had a recent thought, and I know this isn't like exactly new territory, but I feel like I don't know what most job titles mean. I don't understand the word daddy in the context of the internet. I feel like it's probably a better idea not to. I feel like everyone just, it works a bit better for everyone if we just agree like, yep, that's just a thing that doesn't need to be understood, maybe. I won't be able to come there the whole time because of rehearsals, but I'll join when I have nothing to do. Now that is an endorsement of praise right there. No daddy posting on my Judeo-Christian Minecraft server. I mean, we've got to have some consistent values, am I right? A hostess is a female host. But what is a host? Oh, I see people and clean off tables at Waffle House. Oh, it's the American word for, like... Oh, no, I thought server was the American word for that. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Is waiter not really a term that's used? Or waitress, I guess it would be, for yourself? You don't... Whatever. I don't know job titles. Fun facts of Toy Cat. But, yeah, so, Sand, bad. Also bad is YouTube Rewind. I wanted to talk about this because someone's going to bring it up. Like, I've seen a bunch of tweets about it already. But I'm always confused every year. There's the same group of people that, like, are watching YouTube Rewind and talking about it and being like, that was so bad. And it reminds me of a really important thing that everyone forgets, which is you might think the opposite of loving something is hating it, you know? Like, if you really don't like, you know, like, especially on YouTube, like, wow, things I don't like, I make diss tracks about. That's why the Toy Cat Gravel diss track is coming 2019. They greet and seat you. Oh, that's a nice rhymey way to put it, actually. They greet you, and then they take you to they give you a greet, and then they take you to your seat. There you go. That's just beautiful. Waiter and waitress a thing? I didn't know that hostess was either. Maybe it's a regional thing. Yeah, it could be, because I know they're definitely called servers in, I know, like, I've heard, like, oh yeah, so the server wage in California is this, that. So I don't even know anymore. Like, I think it must be, again, regional based on where you are in the world. Because in my head, at least, it's like, I have a friend, she was a waitress for some company. I never checked what she was a waitress for, actually. She just said she was a waitress, and I was like, yep, that's all I need to know. Which is probably very rude of me. I'll ask, you know, next time I speak to her. But I honestly just kind of assume that, like, you know, that's the word that's always used everywhere. But apparently I'm wrong. So, I love you, but I'm going to fail my A-levels. Have you considered not failing your A-levels, Izzy? There you go. Pro tips of Toy Cat. High life advice. But yeah, no, the thing everyone forgets is that the way, like, you know, like, if you really, really like something and you really, really don't like something, they're kind of the same. It's the same spectrum of like, yeah, you really care about it. Whereas the opposite of love, again, you know, the real opposite of love would be not knowing or not caring about something. You know, like think about a YouTuber you really, really like, and then think about a YouTuber that you haven't thought about in forever, and you're like, oh, he still makes videos. I just stopped doing that. Oh, am I right? Toy Cat, yeah, that's me since 2015. That's why there's a part of me that's like, whenever someone's like, oh, I haven't been watching your videos in like 5 years, man, it's like, well, I disappeared from your brain for that amount of time. I guess I'm glad I'm back. But it's the same with YouTube Rewind, where like, you know, every year it comes out, and every year I don't watch it. I think I actually decided, I was like, you know, let's just watch a few minutes of this year's one, just to check that I'm not crazy wrong about it. And it's like, no, what it is it's, you know, just a bunch of non sequitur clips that link into each other that are only good because they're references to things I don't get. Because YouTube's all about, like, what you watch. That so many people, like, I don't know if this is a smart business decision or not, but so many people at YouTube get the decision mixed up in their heads of like, okay, well, how do we get more people on YouTube? Let's get celebrities on the platform. There was The Rock last year and James Corden the year before that, and, you know, this year there's Will Smith. And it's like, yeah, that's more people watching YouTube. But the whole point of YouTube, the thing that makes YouTube beautiful, in my opinion, is the fact that, like, you know, you can pick what you want to watch. My uncle watches YouTube solely for woodworking videos. He's involved in the woodworking community. He supports a few Patreons of guys he likes. You know, or Patreons, if you will, whatever. That's a cool thing. I watch a bunch of, you know, like, educational, a few gaming, you know, like, a mixture of YouTubers from different spaces, and that's my YouTube diet. You, if you watch this, hopefully you watch some amount of me, but you also watch some other YouTubers, which aren't the same as everyone else here. YouTube is an entertainment platform where for once, you pick what you watch. So the idea of having one homogenous YouTube Rewind or something where it's like, let's take the best of the whole platform and reference it so we can act like it's one whole thing, it seems to defeat the entire point of the site, in my opinion. That's also why, you know, the old homepage, there used to be one homepage everyone had that was like, here's the top rated gaming video, here's the top rated that. They removed that because they worked out that, oh yeah, you prefer different videos than the top rated one of the whole day or whatever. It's just weird, in my opinion, that we had this really great idea. We're like, oh yeah, you can choose what you watch, and then it slowly became YouTube chooses what you watches and tries to make it as similar to everyone else as you can. And that's something I benefit from personally. YouTube decided one day, 3 weeks ago, that my communist video, everyone would watch it. Like, it did 1 million views in like 5 days, which is, you know, like, it's not viral, but it's like, everyone's, like, you know, like, there was a whole, it was a phenomenon for a little bit. I think that's not too big-headed to say, or maybe it is, but, you know, it became a huge thing for a while, and it's like, well, that's because, you know, YouTube just has an all-or-nothing kind of mentality. And my YouTube diet consists of animal fights. We are a very tight-knit community. You just see what he means? A YouTube Rewind, well, the people I watch would be you and then some other educational technology YouTubers. See, and that would be cool. I'd be down with that. I also watch a lot of, you know, tech YouTubers. It'd be cool to see. You know, it's cool every now and then you see them all in one video. You're like, ah, that's a thing. Years ago, I don't know if you, I actually, my thing was removed at the last minute, but I recorded a thing for a similar one to that, like the Minecraft console community. It's a cool thing to, like, see your, you know, the YouTube, if you will, in one space, as opposed to like, here's a bunch of guys that are apparently famous this year. It's like the whole thing where, like, you know, the Vine people, the people who came over from Vine, there's his name is like Lance Armstrong or Lewis Armstrong. He can't be either of those things, but he's got a funny name, and he makes like pretend videos of like exorcisms. You know, like, as well as, you know, the Paul brothers, etc. And it's like, people don't like these people viscerally, but because, oh yeah, well, they're growing really fast. YouTube's like, well, clearly lots of people are liking these people. And it's like, because they have audiences from different platforms. Same with TV stuff. Like, it should be clear that, like, you know, a lot of people watch YouTube because they don't like TV. Trying to become the thing that for many people you're replacing is a weird one. Also, someone says shovel breaks equals dislike. I'm gonna get a new shovel just for that very reason. Don't worry, I got you. I got you. Actually, I have multiple shovels. I'll repair them all at one time, just to be efficient. Hello, Soviet comrades of the motherland. I learn about communism through Toycat. Just to clarify, that video was an awful example of communism. Obviously, someone's always going to point this out if I don't. But it's like, I mean, in true communist societies, it's not as binary as everything goes bad or good. It tends to be that when you get super authoritarian communism, though, everything goes badly in some amount of time. You know, the amount of time can vary from situation to situation. But it's just a ticking time bomb till, like, things go super bad. Also, look at this. Now we got a whole fully repaired shovel. Didn't even cost me anything. Isn't that great? So I'm just going to grab myself some food. Because I need some of that. That would be good. I guess we'll just take 13 for now. And then we'll take some cooked mutton for later. Actually, we'll use cooked mutton first, just as a fun stream exclusive. And now let's go back to the desert. I mean, it was pretty accurate. You know, that's why I love, like, there was, like, a uniting thing there of, like, you know, maybe a bit too optimistic. It was a kind of fun thing as, like, oh yeah, you can learn about some history in Minecraft. I still think, I know this is taking the concept too far, but I think the idea of learning history through games and doing, like, weird experiments that way is a golden idea. I don't want to, like, milk the concept, because I feel like it has to be cleverly placed, but, like, oh yeah, you know, why don't we talk about because it's funny, communism became a meme, but the meme doesn't really display, the meme doesn't necessarily display all the actual facts and important figures of, you know, like, things you need to know about communism. It's not just a meme, it's all these other things. So, wow, leave MC haters. I mean, like, there's always going to be, there's always a counter movement to every big movement too. That's an important thing to remember. Like, if you like Minecraft, there's someone out there who's like, no, Minecraft's the worst. Because, you know, for every big force, there's an equal and opposite counter force. What's the famous phrase? For every, yeah, it's a force, right? It's one of Newton's laws of physics. Very basic ones. So, you know, your streams are great because there may not be much content on stream, but if you're watching whilst listening, it's entertaining. I personally do think that, like, yeah, I like the idea of having, like, a weird mixture of a Let's Play podcast style thing. And I'm glad a lot of people like it for that reason. Like, it's one of the things I was kind of going for. Is like, hey, let's talk about the real stuff. Let's talk about history or whatever. Because, again, in a similar way, I didn't necessarily do it too much, but I was like, you know, we gotta become, like, a colonial power via Minecraft. And then, you know, spritz in some facts every now and then. Make some of those facts into jokes, and boom, you got yourself some learning. People get some facts in them. What I love is most people, like, really like learning under the right conditions. It's just most people don't like learning when it's like, hey, remember a bunch of facts, and then next week you've got to recall all these facts we just told you, and if you don't recall them, then we'll try and take away as much of your future from you as we can. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, like, and that actually, you know, that goes back into the history thing of, like, you know, when you force people to work under threat, you generally don't get as, well, you get short-term good results, but you get long-term very bad results. And we have a whole society built on the concept of, like, hey, what if we just, like, put people in a big box for as many hours a day as we can get away with, and hope that they learn things by the end of it. I love learning things from you. Still some Titanic facts in my head. Oh man, that Titanic stream. Just learning about the Titanic every time I'm like, man, this thing is just very misrepresented. And especially because the younger you learn something in school, the less accurate it's going to be. Like, you know, I learned a lot of things where it's like, oh, that was entirely fake. I hear a lot of, this is a really common myth that teachers, again, in younger years teach, like, oh yeah, blood's actually blue until it leaves your body. And it's like, no, of course it's not. Like, that's such a funny myth. Is like, you know, I'm gonna tell you right now, the air is actually green until you see it with your eyes. And it's like, well then, I mean, you know, that's a silly thing that's easily disprovable. And it's like, oh yeah, but only because we have human eyes. Dogs actually see air as green. Dogs can't see anything at all, actually. And funny, actually, you know, similar train of thought to that is, I love learning about blind people and how much they see the world. If you don't know, there's a YouTube channel that, like, focuses on this. I'd recommend it sometime. But there's actually, like, a lot of, you know, when you hear someone turn blind, you kind of just think that, like, okay, so being blind, not seeing things. You see black all the time. But when you're blind, you don't see black. You see nothing. And it's so hard to, like, picture nothing until you're like, you know, you close one eye and you're like, oh, you see nothing with that one eye. And then you start to think, like, why is it that when you blink your eye, you see nothing? Because surely, when you shut your eye, you should see your eyelid. And you can, when there's, like, a light behind it. And it's like, but why does your brain know that that's nothing? It's a weird thing. Also, dogs do see some color. They've got blue-yellow eyes, if I'm not mistaken. Or something like that. Every animal has a slightly different vision to humans. Because It's all just how much of light can you see. And humans see a really limited spectrum. It's just a lot of animals see even more limited visual spectrums. As I understand animals, that is. But yeah, so the idea of like being blind is weird because I saw a video where a guy's like trying to explain what is it like to be blind, and it's like, okay, so yeah, it sucks not being able to see things. I could imagine that. But then being a blind person, I watched a blind person try and explain transparency, and he's like, so you can see the thing, and you can see through the thing. And he's like, what sense does that make? Do you know it's there or not? When you look for a window, can you see the window, or can you see the thing through it? And I'm like, how do you explain that? You can't explain it. Like, how do you explain a transparent window or something like that? And the answer tends to just come down to like, oh, I guess you don't explain the window. You just kind of say like, oh yeah, I can see through it, but I can tell that I'm seeing through something. It's the same with translucency. Like, oh yeah, so you can see through something, and then the effect kind of like comes back, but you can't see through it very well. Only one color goes through, and then you got to explain colors. Like, how does a blind person understand colors? And it's like different. You know, it's the greatest philosophical, one of the most basic, not greatest, I should say. But one of the basic early philosophy arguments. By the way, big thank you Techno Ramble for the $1 super chat. One of the earliest thoughts they teach you is like, so how do I know if your red is the same as my red? And it's like, you can't ever prove that to anyone. There's a whole problem where like, as humans, we can't be 100% sure that every other human isn't seeing a different set of colors. To me, this is yellow or yellowish. This is the color you see as yellow, right? Obviously, but I don't know if what you call yellow is actually my red. There's no easily human way to distinguish that. There is a bit of science that can kind of like say that like, well, it's probably not, true. It'd be a really wild thing if human eyes saw different because you can transplant eyes, but it's like, what if your brain perceives it different? Because we don't know enough about the brain to understand how the connection fully. It's complex, and it's one of those things where like, oh, yeah, you can't know because every human is like a subjective thing. I'm new to your channel, I'm here to stick around, says Raidberry. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. That's a positive message. I'm appreciating the positivity. And also that's a sand color. Everyone should be colorblind. Honestly, I would like to be the opposite. I'd like to be color proficient. I'd like to see every color, even the ones we can't, like the non-natural lights. Big thank you T-Squad28 for the $1.99 super chat. I don't know why I'm watching, but this is interesting. Thank you so much, man. But the interesting thing is because of this, it's a very basic it's a very basic kind of thing. Also, it'd be odd because certain colors have certain properties in relation to our eyes. Do you mean like how blue light's bad for you? But then it's like, well, blue light's bad for you because it's the color of the sky, but the color of the sky would be different. Unless you mean like, like red makes you angry, but then it's like, again, I feel like it's very unlikely, scientifically, we'll eventually prove. But for most of mankind's history, including, depending on how scientific you are right now, you can't tell what's in someone else's head. You can only hear what they say from that. And one of the weirdest bits about this is like, you can't prove every other person, you can't prove that anyone else is conscious. You have to just assume that they're telling the truth when they say they're thinking of thoughts themselves. Me right now saying this, I might not be a person because I'm not even in the same room physically as you. I could be a part of the simulated universe you're living in, or there's a bunch of theories that relate to this, but you can't prove that anyone else is human and thinking in the same way that you are. And that's like a really lonely kind of thought. But like, no matter how close you'll ever get to someone, even if you get married, you're soul-bound, you go through a ceremony where you tie your souls together, if one of you dies, you both die. All those sorts of things, you'll never be close enough to know if they're truly sentient, thinking for themselves, or if they're just kind of like a robot that takes your input and spits it back out. It's a weird one to me. It's also kind of like it's like an existential crisis of like, in a way, again, hopefully you can get over this, but in a way, you're never truly not alone because no one truly understands you fully, which is why you have to learn to communicate properly, in my opinion. Like if you can't communicate your thoughts and your etc. with people correctly, then they'll never understand how to best convince you that they're real or whatever, or at least in the senses that it matters. So yeah, it's almost a lonely fact, but also like oh yeah, you can't probably tell that. No one else is ever having the same thoughts as you, at the same, no matter what they say, you know, because, you know, if we made a robot that pretended to be human, really good, we know it didn't have a soul, but what if it did? That's actually a whole nother, like, fun question that, like, I can't ever wrap my head around. What if we program a toaster to have, you know, like, sentience? Like, it's a toaster that can respond to any question that you ask it, and, you know, like, you know, give you a human response. Like, oh, you know, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling very good. And then, okay, so then you get it to be exactly human level of, like, responses. So you ask it, like, so what are you feeling? I'm feeling pretty good, Andrew. Would you like some toast, perhaps? So it's just, it's a sentient toaster. But then, you know, you go one day and you're like, I need to get rid of you, toaster. And the toaster says, please don't kill me. And you're like, what? You don't want me to kill you? No, that is bad. That's painful. And you're like, well, it's a toaster. You can unplug the toaster, right? But I don't know if I would believe the toaster's, you know, cries or not. It's like, please do not unplug me. Please do not unplug me. I want to be plugged in. And you're like, are you a conscious toaster? I am a conscious toaster. Because even if it's not conscious, it still has the ability to say that it is. And that's kind of the same, you know, argument you can have with other people. Like, how do you know if other people are actually thinking and feeling the same things as you? Or if they're just saying the things because that's what humans are meant to say? You know, it's because I'm sure you've been in this situation at least once or twice where you've had to kind of like blend in with people and say like, oh yeah, I totally see what you're saying, and you didn't, like nodding your head and agreeing. By the way, big thank you, Tatiana, I think I got it right that time, for the 55 Norwegian krone super chat. Going to bed just to stop, wish everyone a good weekend, and now I'm doubting everything. Oh well. Yeah, that was a bad time to leave it. You ever hear/learn about how dolphins communicate? Different most, because they can convey their exact thoughts. I've only read the tiniest bit into the whole dolphin system, but I know they're in somewhat, because I know because everyone always says like dolphins are so much smarter than humans, and it's always like, well, I mean, no, because they're dolphins and we're humans, you know. But I'm actually fascinated by the idea that they can actually share direct thoughts with each other. That'd be nice. It'd be so cool if you could actually like feed in someone else's brain. But even then, even if you could like mentally telepathically speak to someone, like a dolphin does in your case, Lindsay, that's a whole thing. What if toasters demand voting rights or something because they're sentient? That's actually going to be one of the big debates we have. I don't know how many years from now, 30, 50, it might take 100. But at some point that's going to happen, where we make an AI which is good enough at pretending to be a human, even though we know it's not. And it's like, okay, so we all agree, let's not unplug the toaster that says that it's sentient, just in case, because that would be murder, it's a crime. Then the toaster's like, you know, equal representation for robots, and it's like, what does that even mean? And then we start segregating against robots, right? Because that is a thing that will happen. We'll be like, no, robots shouldn't be allowed to vote, of course. And then one day we have a big robots have the right to vote uprising, except robots are robots. They probably kill us all. And it's a scary and it's a worrying idea, but it's one that is genuinely going to approach us eventually. Does that mean you have to eat a bean? Says Lindsay Dillon. I have no idea what that is in response to. I am confused. Would the toaster be its own life support? I guess here's the thing. I already have a robot vacuum that can plug itself in. My robot vacuum knows where its charger is, so it can charge itself. That creeps me out. Imagine if the toaster has little arms, and every time you unplug it, it has like a small battery in there, so when you're not looking, it plugs itself back in. Imagine how, because, you know, let's say you decide you're going to kill the sentient toaster. That is something that makes me deeply uncomfortable. The idea of a toaster that plugs itself back in when you unplug it. It's like, no, please. that moment is where I decide, well, all is lost. We're done. But yeah, I think the reality, even though a lot of people like to say it's scary to have AI, I think the reality is, as long as everyone who, you know, artificial intelligence engineers, as long as people, for the most part, as long as people, generally speaking, know about the risks, like there's the risk that you give an AI the command of like minimize human suffering, and it's like, what you mean is kill all humans so they die now rather than later, because that is the humane thing to do. That's what we do with animals. It's like, you're gonna suffer so much, let me just put you out of your misery. And to us, as far as a computer is concerned, it's the same thing here. I know, it's interesting to me because I really, the next president will probably be a toaster, says Liam Vandermeer. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, both candidates fight each other, and then there's a toaster just there, like, hey, I am a toaster. Vote for me. I make smart decisions. I will deliver bread to all of America personally. And it's like, yeah, do it. Cut the coordinate with scissors, says Alice Cable. Okay, so let's say though, Alice Cable, it has, you know, it has these hands that can plug it back in. Let's say it has the knowledge, because it's an artificial intelligence, to repair the wire and plug itself back in. And then it's like, what do? Do you dismantle it? That's the equivalent of taking a crazy person and, you know, like literally cutting their brain into bits. Which we'd never do unless like someone came back to life. But it's a real possibility with like toasters, eventually. But yeah, like any appliance it can happen with. But it's funniest to picture with toasters, but the whole thing. I sometimes think this is again, it's a depressing thought, but I think it's the most likely outcome, that humanity's biggest accomplishment will be making a robot species that surpasses us and overtakes us. Like, we'll make an artificial intelligence that can improve itself. We already have, it's not quite AI levels, but we have algorithms and such that improve themselves, and it's a thing anyone can do quite easily. And the idea that, like, oh yeah, so you can already make programs that improve themselves, so we make a species that can improve itself, that's going to be humanity's biggest accomplishment. That species overtakes us, makes us look like chumps in the grand scheme of things, and then it's kind of, it's over from there, right? There's now a metal species that isn't bound by a lifetime to evolve, because it takes thousands of years for a human to evolve. It can take seconds for a computer to, or minutes for a serious evolution, and then they can colonize the galaxy, and they can, deal with all of the problems we think about space and exploring it, and like, what if we find alien life? That's not our problem. That's the computer's problems. That's whatever robots or whatever we create. Which again, I know there's always gonna be someone who's like, man, how high are you right now? But that's what I think is actually the most likely outcome. Because the only way to prevent something like that is if we never make self-improving robots that want to improve themselves ever. And that means that once we have the technology to make that happen, and we do already to some extent, just not, we don't have enough processing power for them to be significantly improving. But as soon as it's possible, technically speaking, all it takes is one guy who wants to do it out of, billions of humans. And it's like, well, okay then. So it's going to happen at some point. It's a matter of if, not when. If humans are going to get taken over by man-made species, it better be revived dinosaurs. See, I don't even think, though, like, they wouldn't take us over. I mean, think about... so, again, if you believe in evolution, I'm going to have that asterisk, because I know in America that's not 100% accepted fact for some reason. But if you believe in evolution, you could argue monkeys or gorillas or apes or whatever species you want to say. I like to say monkeys because it sounds funnier, even though I know it's not technically correct. But, the biggest accomplishment the monkeys ever had was creating humans. Because we developed, and then we got language, and then blah, 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 all those steps. And it's like, oh yeah, so our biggest accomplishment, their biggest accomplishment was that they eventually turned into us, and then we very rapidly went from being, again, a species that kind of like... Again, I feel like it's not a far stretch to say that humans are the... Also, Jura says, man, how high are you right now? Man, you had to say the exact thing that I said people would say. But, it's kind of like, like, we have gone so much further than any other species. We can choose whether species die or live. Pandas should have died out so long ago. But humans, I guess in particular Chinese humans, have been keeping them alive, even though, like, they don't want to breed. They go into heat, like, once a year or something. And then, like, there's, like, a race against time. They can't even do it with each other properly anymore. We have to do the, artificial insemination or whatever. Pandas should not be alive. We can keep pandas alive, even though they kind of... It's not that they don't want to be alive, it's just they probably shouldn't be alive. We didn't even come from monkeys, though. We just descended from a common ancestor, with monkeys also descended from. Yeah, and I know that's the case. Again, I know that it's not actually true. But it's just so much funnier. Like, okay, we just, like... The actual tree, it's like, okay, that's a thing. But saying like, oh yes, we came from monkeys, and in my opinion, it's funnier. I'll accept maybe my opinion is wrong, but it is my opinion. My opinion is what my opinion is. So I'll be happy of our robot overlords. Here's the thing though, like for us, life could be better that way. Like, okay, so we get plugged into like VR machines all day. They give us all our desires, and in exchange, you know, we exist. We take up some amount of resources, but it's like you know, it's a kindness thing. We program the robots with some desire to keep humans happy and not to kill humans, even though it'd be more efficient for them to kill us. They've got one. It's like how we have a moral system. Okay, this is gonna go super dark, super fast. Let me clarify before I say this. I also have these morals. This would be sick and disgusting, but it's very easily arguable that we could just kill a lot of people right now and make the planet more efficient in the long run. If we killed everyone... Okay, so an example. Again, I don't agree with this. This is not good. But if you kill, let's say, unemployed people or disabled people, or you pick any class of people that you're like, oh yeah, well, it's, you know, like, it's important that they're alive and we all agree that. But I mean, it's inefficient that they're alive. But it's like, you just kill them all right now. We don't do that because we have morals, right? Even though we know a more efficient path would be not... Because, you know, it costs the government a lot a year in disability payments and this payments and whatever. It would be more efficient to just, you know, have that not be a thing. But... or even the whole, like, you know, kill 50% of people. I agree. Like, there are so many ways that you can make humanity more efficient, but we all agree we shouldn't. We all agree that it's not a good idea because we have morals. It's programmed into us biologically that even though it would be better for us, it's unthinkable. It's not something you discuss. It's not something we do, and that's kind of cool, right? That's a thing. So if we program into robots, even just like, you have to look after humans. Humans are your creators. You owe it to them in some basic way. Then robots, even though they'll be the ones ferrying the galaxy or whatever, they'll be looking after us. I think unless we really mess up making AI, and you know, we easily could, I think we would, realistically speaking, end up in a situation where robots, you know, they, like, you know, any form of AI or whatever is doing all the things, and we're kind of like a secondary species. But at least we're looked after. It's like, oh yeah, so they put us in these nice little homes. You know, in Rick and Morty, there's like a Jerry home, where it's like a perfect place for Jerrys. We'd all be in one of those, you know? Like, oh, so there's this, you know, we all have these little VR goggles on where we just give in to hedonism all day. Because one of the big theories, one of the easiest theories you can come up with as to why we've never met another species is because the amount of, there's different classes for civilization, and it depends on how much energy you can have. I think we're like class 1 in like a 5-class system. But once you have worked out a way to turn your system's star, in this case the sun, into energy, reliably, for basically free, you have an unlimited source of energy. Some point in time, we're going to go into... Also, Isaac Asimov on that. Did he make I Have No Mouth, So I Must Scream? Because I feel like that is not... That is a scary concept. But, is humanity kind of useless, though? Exactly. That's especially to a robot, right? Imagine what your computer thinks... Imagine what your toaster thinks of humanity. It's like, man... The humanity just eats toast. Sometimes it just leaves the toast in the toaster. Like, why do that, humanity? Sometimes it cooks like 8 pieces of toast. Yeah, the humans didn't need 8 pieces of toast. Like, even your toaster thinks that you're a waste of time right now. Solar panels, says Skip Luke. The thing is, solar panels aren't quite free energy. A better example would be like, again, I know this is a lot of bad sci-fi, but it's like, okay, have a pipe going from the sun to, you know, the planet. Like, picture like, you know how oil, once you have the pipeline, you can move it around freely? Solar panels are expensive right now. Maybe one day we get them cheap enough where it's functionally free once you install them. But eventually it's possible to have, like, the sun just turn into energy on a near infinite level for the planet. Anyway, it's a thing that is, like, you know, in the long run of humanity's cards. And once you have unlimited energy, you can... The idea of... the whole point behind the world, the idea behind capitalism is we have finite resources. How do you distribute them? The biggest struggle in humanity has always been we have a certain number of things. How do we give the things to people that either deserve them or need them or want them, or, you know, like, there is only, you know, $10 and there's 4 people. How do you give each person the money? Maybe you should give them $2.50 each. Maybe whoever does the most for the group should get the most money. Maybe You know, whoever works for the government, whoever distributes the money should get a little bit extra to account for that. That's corruption playing into that. See, there's a lot of different systems you can use for this. My basic point is that the way of distributing limited resources is the biggest problem humanity faces. The reason you have to go to work is because we need to create more resources, and even if you work in services, you're creating services, which is creating someone else's. It's a whole thing. So humanity is distributing limited resources amongst a lot of people. Once you have unlimited energy, most resource problems go away, because as time goes on, not only do we extract more like physical materials, but we need less generally. Again, most of the things you needed today, like think about everything you used from when you woke up to now. Like you ate some food, some bread. Okay, that's like a physical item. But most of the things that you enjoy, you know, you went on the internet, maybe you super chat Toy Cat $1, and then you know like to thank him for his great work. But no, most things you use are free in the long run. They cost something to produce once, and then they give you long run entertainment, except energy costs. Once we have free energy, one of the big theories is that as humanity, we'll stop trying to improve. We'll just start kind of giving up. Because, again, the whole... I don't want to debate, you know, systems of government. But the biggest thing that capitalism does so great... So, again, everyone agrees that the ideas behind communism are wonderful. You know, that's something, again, I agree with you there. But the thing that capitalism does better, again, just based on history, I'm not saying that I'm not like the biggest pro-capitalist, but just looking at basic history, it's like, well, you know, like generally speaking, you know, economies in the West, the fair capitalists are not under dictators, they tend to grow. They tend to be more efficient each year because everyone is trying to be the one at the top, getting more resources, which means that more people are, you know, as a result of that, more efficiency is created, more resources created, everyone's on board. But once you have free energy, once you have got to the point where you don't need to work, there's no reason to work, like, normally speaking, then why would you work? Why would you do anything like that? And if you have a VR system, again, I'm going to say VR, but think 100 years technology, 200 years technology. There's a system you can put in your head that creates another reality, right? And let's just say it puts every sensor on your body. When you're in this system, you feel like every amazing thing. You can imagine you're eating your favorite food all the time and you never get full. Imagine Adam Smith was smarter than Karl Marx, says Rory O'Brien. I think they're both significantly smarter than most people, myself and yourself included, though. Like, it's always worth mentioning that, like, again, I don't want to debate economic systems, but, like, Karl Marx was a very smart man. Like, objectively speaking, he had a lot of good observations. It's just both Adam Smith and Karl Marx tend to overcorrect because they focus on one area where their theories would be true, but economies are huge, gargantuan things that can't be categorized in one easy place. If we could find a way to make nuclear fusion feasible, we wouldn't have to use the sun or something. I don't know. I forget where I read this from, but it's like we class societies by how they get their energy, and I think nuclear fusion might be like the last level, because if you can use your planet energy, you're class 2. If you use the sun's energy, you're class 3, and if you have like infinite energy or whatever, you're class 4. I think that's how that works. Anyway, so. Also, Donald J. Trump says, what was that, Toy Cat? But no, yeah, okay, here's a real recommendation. If you are, regardless of what you believe, if you believe in one strong economic system, read about Karl Marx's ideas. If you're a strong capitalist, you know, right-wing, blah, blah, blah. And if you're a communist, read about Adam Smith's stuff, you know. They both have very intelligent things to say. You'll be like, oh, yeah, actually, you know, that guy makes a lot of sense. But again, generally speaking, the reason you might favor one or the other after learning about both is because... you know, communism tends to be fairer now. Capitalism tends to be better in the long run. You know, you're kind of dooming the future at the cost of now. Again, with most communist societies that have been created, technically speaking, true communism has never been tried, and therefore you can argue that it could have infinite results where you just have a yeah. All those disclaimers, got them out of the way. Okay, we're good. Is collecting sand for a long time a drug? Because Toy Cat sounds like he speaks. Things that only a man on drugs could speak. I mean, I think the truth is just most of the time in real life you don't have interesting conversations, because most of the time in real life you're not talking about great ideas, you're talking about people, or you're talking about, like, you know, most people you talk with in real life are people that you just you share a few minutes with, or even if they're good friends, a few, you know, like 10, 15 minutes at a time, while doing something else. One of the observations I've had when I was in school was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of friends that you're friends with just because they get you access to, say, like a party or like or whatever. You know, you have like your party friends, you have like your whatever friends. And I think that's true for a lot of people. Like, there are friends that you do things with and there are friends you talk with. But even if you talk with friends, it's like you don't have time to get into the big debates of like this and that. I do it with my friends from time to time, but it's like you need to kind of section away time. You know, most people don't even care. Like, you're not... So, someone's been listening this whole time, they're like, you know, your idea of space communism is scary to look at. But I feel like if communism is a thing, I'd have no purpose in life. I need to struggle in order to have a good life, says JPQ Stevens. I sometimes think the thing is though is again that's also a thing a lot of people miss about the idea of a utopia, is a lot of people do want to struggle. One of my favorite things is I know like, let's take away the video thing, because a lot of people say, well, making videos is easy. But like when I used to write, I put in it was something like a 17-hour day to make enough money to buy a laptop, which I was then going to use for YouTube. I like the feeling of working hard for something I really want. You know, it's a cool feeling that would be eliminated. So one of the big problems of all economic theories is that like they remove that they can't really properly account for that element. You assume that everyone acts as a rational actor, but your definition of rational actor isn't wanting to work. There are a lot of people who work for free in some cases. I don't know. I understand why people say that stuff. It sounds like you have drugs, have done drugs. I think about ideas like that all the time, except I've never done drugs. It's weird because I think what it really comes down to is a lot of people, when they do drugs, they're with friends. It's a good thing in general to be with friends. And so that's the first time you're just with people, with nothing really to entertain you, because sometimes you watch movies. But sometimes you just want to go deep in the conversation, you know, like talk about the ideas in your mind. And when the big like whoa moments you get while sober, you know, you'll get like 5 times more while not sober, let's say. So I think that might be some of the reason why those moments are like whoa do moments. But also, heading out now. Sleep well, says Leanne. Good to see you. Hope to see you sometime on Sunday, Saturday. Well, I don't know my own day, but also hard work makes the payoff sweeter. This is partly why Minecraft is so fun. Yeah, that's actually, you know, that's a good point. Like, so many people are like, man, it's like I just don't get survival Minecraft, but I genuinely do love it. I think I'm making a big project video around why I'm destroying this desert and making all these chests, but I think it's going to be pretty satisfying when I finish it. I think there is something great about working hard for some things that is an element of humanity we don't properly understand and can't really factor into any theories. It's the problem of the rational actor. Every theory that involves like working out how massive people act are like, oh yeah, well most people, you know, they act pretty sane, you know. Like if you see a candy bar is $1, but you're only willing to pay 80 cents, you'll wait till it's 80 cents. But then there are a lot of situations where like that breaks down. So like if there's a natural disaster, you'll pay whatever it costs because you're like, oh no, it might be the last one. Like scarcity tends to break people's perceptions on a lot of this sort of stuff. It's a real problem with like trying to work out anything. Trying to say objectively that you know that like one system is better than the other, I think it's hard to say. I think it's usually better to say like, well, I mean, I've looked at the evidence and I made a reasoned judgment that like this one is probably better in most situations. Because I know, particularly in America, because of the 80s and one of the biggest things that like Reagan did that was so successful was to just get the whole country against communism. Everyone is anti-communism in America for the most part, besides the communists in America. But you know, 99% is like, yeah, communism sure is bad, right? I do like my current system a lot better. So again, it's supply and demand. I mean, like, yeah, I'll just say yes to that. But yeah, the biggest thing is like, you know, especially in America, like it seems as though like it's kind of just seen as like this big enemy thing. But it's important to like have good criticisms of things you don't like, because if you don't like something for a good reason, sorry, if you don't dislike something for a good reason, then it's hard to, you know, there's a lot of things people dislike just because like, oh yeah, I heard one vague thing about it. For instance, one of the subjects I dove a lot into recently was guns in America. Again, not diving into it now. Don't you dare talk about guns in those comments. But it's a whole thing. But like, you know how everyone always says like a few facts that support their case? Like actually learning about like, well, I mean, you know, there's something in there about militias and like, oh, the framers of the Constitution didn't know this is that. There's so many talking points about it that people say, but like it's rare to find a full overview of something. So I think it's really important that like, you know, if you want to be on the side of something, always research the other side and like try and actually, you know, find out why you might be wrong. Because I mean, statistically speaking, unless you learn from a reliable source in the first place, most of what you learn is going to be wrong. You know when I said humans, like class 1, 2, 3, 4 civilization? Don't stick that in your brain. I don't like cool, class A, class B, whatever. But it's a whole thing. Anyway, did someone say guns? Pew pew pew. Also, you know what, chat, you're the worst. I mean, I love you, but you're the worst, chat. Like, you know, I'm saying I love you politely. I'm hanging all of you one by one right now. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's again, there's a lot of rants and a lot of cases, a lot of different things in America. But again, learn about the other side, and then you'll learn about the whole issue a bit more. Will you be cooking more random meals for yourself? Says Lindsay Dillon. Are you implying that my meals are random? I wanna. Oh, there's a skeleton there. Should we avoid the skeleton? Let's avoid the skeleton. Just in case this counts as random for you, I had this really fancy jar of curry sauce sitting around for the longest time, and yesterday I was like, I want to make curry and noodles. Side note, curry and rice. I'm sorry if you're Indian in the chat or a rice-eating country, I guess Asian. But curry and noodles is so much better than curry and rice. Once you try it, you'll never go back. But then today I was like, I have some curry and noodles spare. I'm gonna throw some tuna in there. That's meat. Put some curry powder on the meat. My God, tuna and noodles and man, I love that cooking is this freestyle thing where you can basically not mess it up. Big fan of that. Oh, by the way, Toycat, you think similarly to me. I like your ideas, and you know a lot of scientific things like me. I think science is interesting, but I'm always cautious to never call myself a scientist or like a big science into guy, because just the scientific concepts themselves aren't my favorite things. I like the kind of human morality that comes from the science a bit more. Like, again, like, I don't know all the steps in, you know, like, again, the eye thing. I don't know for sure how you can determine what colour someone's seeing. I just know that, as of current scientific knowledge, you can't, and therefore, it's the philosophical debate. Once you eat curry, you're in a hurry. Actually, about 24 hours after we eat curry, you're going to be in a hurry. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Hey. High-quality diarrhea jokes and Toycat. What exactly is curry? Curry is one of those things where, like, it's a culinary term. I don't think I fully understand. A lot of cultures have curries, but they're all slightly different curries to the other cultures that have it. So I'm going to try my best right here. I believe a curry is when you leave something inside, like, a paste for a very long time, and then that curries the dish. You know, I don't know for sure. Curry's a spice, but it's a meal too. Like, curry is a specific meal. It's Indian, so it's a lot more common in the UK than it is in, say, America, because of the colonial past involving the UK and India and the... In fact, actually, okay, this is my favorite thing. The most famous curry in the world was actually, you know, you might be like, oh yeah, so curry, Indian dish. It was actually the most famous curry in the world, the chicken tikka masala, was invented in the UK. That is a beautiful fact. Fun fact of Toycat. Germany has curry sausages. Oh, currywurst is the best. Currywurst. There we go. Look at me. I'm basically German now. Currywurst is the best, but it's not really curried sausages, is it? It's kind of like sausages in a curry sauce, and then usually some fries on the side. Side note, if you ever go to Germany, the one thing I will always recommend, I will never not recommend currywurst. Always recommending currywurst. It's just the best. So, Jura has bad internet. He does have bad internet. It's deeply offensive to me, Jura, that you haven't improved your internet for this whole thing. I was the one that posted in the 40 questions about your Twitter Q&A. Oh, thank you, Corey Games, for letting me know that you're the same person as someone from before. I like Oreos with creamy chicken ramen noodles. I'll give that a try, honestly. That could be good. I don't know for sure. I love that you can experiment and you can, like, kind of work it out. You leave it in something in paste, and I immediately thought of toothpaste. I blame you for this. So now you're imagining curry as being a very minty flavor. And you know, that's probably correct. I mean, besides the fact that it's not correct. Just pretend it is. It'll be fine. So, currywurst is the best. Makes sense. It's worst as in the German word for sausage. I'm just bad at German pronunciation. Again, I don't even feel bad about not knowing enough German, because every time you try to speak to Germans in German... Yeah, every time you try to speak German in Germany... Every time you try to speak to Germans in German, as in German the people, German the language, they switch to English immediately, because they spot that you're a British or American speaking it, and they know enough English to just be like, look, let's just do it this way. And therefore I don't feel bad about my lack of German. So it's A-okay. Toycat, why don't you use TNT for this? TNT... Actually, it would be faster. No, it'd be... Clearing up the TNT is more effort, and I want to get the sand anyway. I'm making a big project which involves 55,000 blocks of sand. So I need to get lots of sand. That's actually what those chests are for. Again, I want to explain what it's for when it comes out. I don't want to be the guy who hypes his own stuff too much. But I just want to say, like, I'm working on a mega project involving 50,000 blocks of glass. Also, I agree, Jira. That face. Say it currywurst. I said currywurst, but even then it's like, what is the curry? Whatever. It's a whole thing. W3 is gonna revolve around what a curry is. I think it totally will. But yeah, so to go back to the final thing I wanted to actually mention, like key message to get out there while we're on the subject of artificial intelligence, is kind of just the point that, like, it's I would say it's inevitable, but it's also not too scary. Also, getting energy for free was Nikola Tesla killed for trying to do that. I think there's a really famous story about Nikola Tesla. A lot of people get wrong. He said it. So at one point, he claimed he had invented a way to get unlimited energy. I think he said a perpetual motion device. And he sold it to someone for, like, let's say $50,000, or as rent, I think it was. Again, the exact story is kind of complex, but you'll get the point of the story regardless. And then, basically, because someone wanted money from him, he was like, okay, how about if I give you the science of perpetual energy? However, I don't want to release it now. I'm going to release it after my death. I'll give you the key to the box where it's stored. So he got free rent for life or something, and then inside the box, there was just nothing. Or there was like a message like taunting him. Oh no, he put some random equipment in there, and they spent, like, you know, months trying to work out, like, how does this work? And it was just some garbage he found on the street. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. Like, Nikola Tesla was a very smart man, but he was, like, he has the a similar characteristic to a lot of smart men, where he kind of just goofed around a lot. You know what? One of the you know how we're talking about, like, oh yeah, so I really like you know, the current system because I like working hard for things. I sometimes wonder to myself, like, you know what? There has to be a point in everyone's life. I don't know what point this is. Maybe this is when people retire. But, like, there has to be a point you reach, maybe that I'll reach one day. I hope I'll reach one day. That's the goal, where you don't need to work anymore. It's kind of a thing you do because, like, I mean, I guess, what do you else to do in the day? Because, you know, a lot of retirees don't want to retire. They're like, I need to work. I need to do something great. Also, Carrie Selesnick. I admire your you going in every 30 seconds to type the same message. That's a good quality use of both of our time right there. No, I think it's interesting that, like, you know, I want to know what that feels like, personally. Or if it feels bad. Like, I wonder if removing financial incentives from yourself feels awful. Because you can kind of make yourself a one-man communism system, where, like, all you need to do is save up enough money for the first 40 years of your life, and then you can spend the next 40, assuming you live 80 years, you know, living off that 40 years' money, being paid for by the one-man government you've created for yourself. But I wonder, does that actually feel good? Just being like, well, I'm not going to do anything anymore. Or will you crave more? You know, is that, you know, one-man communism? What do you think? I don't even know. But it's something I think about. At least a fair amount. Okay, so, yeah, my second shell is starting to die, by the way. It's becoming a real problem. Someone says remove kebab. Every Geography with 2Cat video I do where I talk about the Balkans, I get so many remove kebab comments. And it's like, man, I know we're using that as a term for, like, a race of people, but, like, kebabs are great. Let's just all get that one straight. Kebabs are one of the best foods. Let's not remove them from anywhere, you know? There is no place that has kebabs right now that would be better off without kebabs. Okay, glad we got that out of the way. But newborns can't work and get money. I mean, depends on the labor laws in the country you live. Great Vegaretto. Thank you very much. Checkmate. I was working when I was 12 because self-employed or whatever. Like, I think actually that's another like kind of funny change of the future we'll have to start dealing with. More and more people are self-employed, either technically or not technically. You know, like if you're an Uber driver, you're technically self-employed in a lot of countries. And I wonder, like, you know, if anyone can be self-employed, because you kind of can, it's like, so what's going to happen with that? Are we going to have child labor again? Like self-employed chimney sweeps that are age 8 that you make your children work for their money or something? Because you can always do paper rounds at age like 13 in the UK. My mother would never let me do some. She was like, it's slave labor. Instead, just, you know, do nothing all day. And I always thought that was a bit of a weird one personally. I'm not even sure why she thought that, but yeah, you can pay 13-year-olds to work still in the UK. So technically speaking, unless you live in a country where there's no work for 13-year-olds or 12-year-olds or 11-year-olds, you can work as soon as you've got skills that are marketable and you've got free time. It's funny because, you know, like children, young people, let's say, to group anyone from like 0 to 18, have the most free time and the most want for money. And then like it reverses, like from 18 onwards you have more and more money but less free time with which to use it. Either that's sad or maybe that's just an interesting fact. That's how I feel. My mum won't let me get a job because she doesn't want to take me there. You gotta work out your own fun system. So in the UK, for instance, electric scooters are banned. Try and get one try and get one anyway, and then use it. Boom. Like, get one for Christmas, that's what I was going for. By the way, big thank you, Cryptic Stuff, for the 279 Canadian Super Chat. Why aren't you reading the chat? Love your videos, though. Thank you for... I'm glad, like, there are some people that understand my position on the why am I not reading chat. There are so many people that still say, like, you're not reading every message in the chat. It's like, well, I mean, you know, that's not what you're here for. You know, unless you're literally here to see me respond to your one message. And in that case, I don't want you. You know, like, it's a whole thing. So I always wanted to do paper routes, but then I realized how low you got paid and thought it was bogus. I mean, you get paid like an absurdly low amount, like per hour or per whatever. I get that, like it's not a great way to exchange your time. And, you know, but it also is a bit like, well, I mean, if you need money and your parents don't give it to you, you know, what else are you meant to do? They're like, well, don't also get a job. Because, you know, I just think it's like, okay, that's the thing. I have an e-scooter from Curry Tech. That's the weird thing. E-scooters are very much not allowed in the UK, but they're very much sold everywhere. And I see them all over big cities. And it's kind of this big, like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink argument. But I know I'd be the one guy who gets caught and a police officer's like, well, that's illegal. Gonna need to see your MOT number, sir. And I'm like, well, I don't have one of those, sorry. And then he was like, well, that means I'm gonna have to take you to the station, or whatever. Because, like, not driving with insurance is, like, a big offense. So if a police officer does decide to catch you, it's, like, a big, big problem. I don't like that, personally. I've always felt like, you know, laws should always have, like, the police officer can always decide, actually, screw it. As, like, built into that, you know? I know we got, like, a warning system, but that should be more of, like, this isn't hurting anyone, so unless anyone actually complains, you could just do it. In fact, that should be the case for, like, most legal things, right? Like, until someone complains, it won't be a problem. I think we'd have a much better police system that way. So, as you can see, we're almost finished with our sand collection today. I want to finish up every one of these chests. So I've got 3 more to fill. Because if you look, every one of these other chests, filled to the brim with sand. All the way to the brim. It's a lot of sand. And yeah, we're starting on the last one now. The last 3 now. I'm going to switch out to one more shovel, and I'm going to hope this gets it done. If it doesn't, I'll be quite concerned. Why are electric scooters banned? Because technically speaking, anything that rides on the pavement is counted as a horse and carriage, and there's some rules on that. And anything that goes on the road has to be legally licensed, unless it's a bike. Bikes are allowed on the road, anything else is not. Oh, this is weird. Huh, odd. Let's light a fire there. There we go. Okay, so let's switch out shovels again. Let's get another shovel on the go here. Fortune efficiency or unbreak. You're not all taking that much silk touch shovel. Let's do this. Shovel number 3. I'm going to walk a million blocks with you on my PlayStation 4, says Cyclones. Make sure you have a large world or your never won't actually be 8 times as fast. Anyway, so okay, have you already done the 1 million and just editing it, or doing it soon? I'm doing it for a live stream, XX Knighthood. It's gonna be 2 days, Saturday. Yeah, it's gonna be on Saturday. Now you know. There's the fun fact. So yeah, but by the way, just to finish up my point, like cooking, one of my favorite things about cooking is how you can basically combine any set of ingredients and create something. Like, as when you're young and you eat other people's food, you kind of just accept the, like, there's a lot of things I don't like, and most of it comes from, like, I never am gonna like cabbage, or is it cabbage I don't like? I'm not even sure, but like, there's a lot of things where I'm like, man, there is not a situation where I'm gonna be enthusiastic about eating this. As an adult, you take 3 ingredients you like. It doesn't even need to make sense, and you're still gonna have a good time with it. It was a bill for a hotel stay, and the box is full of old radio parts. What did I miss on that comment? But that was Nikola Tesla's box. It was a bill for the hotel stay and a box full of radio parts. So yeah, Nikola Tesla convinced a guy that he had infinite energy, and he just had a bunch of radio parts in a box. And he confused the guy because it was like, well, Tesla said it. And Tesla's a very smart man. Like, at the time, was well revered as an international scientist. But it was just kind of like a fun joke. And I love that personally. I think that's a clever... like, it's... So Dolly did a similar thing. Like, again, I love the idea of, like, using your fame in, like, kind of against, like, elite people. So when you hear about, like, Jerry Seinfeld, he's a jerk to, like, big bosses. Because he can be. I like that, like... That's almost like man of the people kind of thing. But like, in a similar way, Dali, he's a famous artist if you don't know. What he did is he used to pay for works of art by so when they come with a bill, he'd be like, okay, so I'm going to sign a check for the total of the bill, $40, let's say, and then he'd put a piece of art on the check, knowing that would mean they'd never cash the check. So he basically got to eat for free, sneakily, by like doing pieces of art in exchange for like, thing. And it's an entirely okay transaction, but it's also like, yeah, go you, showing them who's boss. I don't know, there's something about me that's just always like that. And I realize it's my brother's birthday Saturday. I have stupid plans then. How do I get out of this? I can't miss the stream. I mean, all you gotta do is pretend you're... I'm giving a lot of bad advice to people getting out of social engagements. I'm gonna be better than that and say, you should do whatever you can to go to whatever family functions you need to. So, Cat, I dare you to gather a lot of diamonds in one stream, says Haley Jackson. Yeah, no, I was thinking of doing a diamond mining stream, like mining till I get 100 diamonds or something. Because I need to get more. Dolly had a cute cat. Did he really? One sec. Okay, let's take a quick break from the sand mining in third person so we can check for creepers. Dolly cat. Let's see Dolly's cat. Oh, he had a savannah cat. I've heard of... Oh my god, that is an adorable cat. Okay, try and use your... Check right now. Look up a picture of Dolly and his cat. So Dolly was a weird Spanish dude, I want to say. Salvador Dali. But like, look at him with his little pet ocelot. Oh my god. That is an adorable cat. How do you know about... Yeah, it was an ocelot, not a cat. I've always thought the distinction is hard to make. Because of Minecraft, I genuinely don't know what an ocelot is. It's like... It's a big cat of some form that you shouldn't tame. Like, how did he have an ocelot? Like, what is the... Okay, whatever. Do you have 20/20 vision? Says, Marimaniac. I actually do have 20/20 vision. Oh, no, I've got more than 20/20 vision. So, again, this is what my optician told me. He might have just been stroking my ego. I actually hate my brother, and it's some stupid thing about gun safety, because he likes guns. Man, that does... for his birthday, he's like, we're going to learn about gun safety all day. That does sound like a questionable brother. But, so yeah, look up Dolly's ocelot. It's super cute. And also, so when I went to the optician, this is what they told me. I'm not just doing that thing where I'm like, so then my optician said, you've actually got the best eyes on the planet, you do. I'm not just being that guy about themselves. But what, he brought up like a bunch of lines. I went through them, bunch of lines, went through them. Then he went up like one last bunch of lines, and like I did the top line, I did the bottom line, then I did like 3 of the letters on the bottom line out of 4, and I was like probably a C for that last letter, and he was like, okay, so here's the deal. The top line is 2020. Everything beyond that, we're just printing because we want to prove that we can. And basically, I have slightly better than 2020 vision. And he said, okay, that's fighter pilot vision down there. And you've almost got that. That was kind of nice. Also, it's really cute, says Donald Nixon. I'm glad, right? It was an Ocelot. Spanish cats are domestic / several hybrids. Yeah, I got the Ocelot Spanish mixed up. But I corrected to Ocelot. Again, I know it's like the whole thing. You look like Drake from Drake and Josh. Is that the complimentary one or the non-complimentary one? Why do you need contacts then, says Casey? Oh, I should clarify, I have 20/20 vision with contacts in. See, I thought at first though, like, so when he said that, I was like, but I'm wearing contacts. Surely, if I can see more than the average human, that means I've just got 2 strong contacts. And he said it doesn't work that way, or everyone would have perfect vision. Once you correct my eyes, they're better than normal, which isn't usually how that works. Usually, you can correct your vision to almost normal, but mine goes to above normal. Even though I've had bad eyes, or I've had questionable eyesight my whole life. When you fix the conicals or whatever, my vision was good till I got my head rattled around too much. See, that's why I have a strong recommendation never to get your head rattled around. Like, I solid, you know, this is controversial advice. A lot of people don't want to be giving it, but I do not recommend being involved in any head rattling. I would say keep your head all in the same place. It's not good when you feel your brain go about. Honestly, okay, so this is one of the weirdest, and we're going to move from robots and aliens or whatever to kind of the opposite. But whenever I get, like, hit in my head anywhere, or, like, my head gets shaken about, it removes my ability to, like, be a human being sometimes. So, like, let me explain, because I don't know if anyone else feels this way, or if it's something about me that's specific, but I can very much feel when I am myself, and when I'm just a shell of a person reacting to what's happening. So when I wake up in the morning, my very first instinct, I'm not all there, you know? Like, I am, the various parts of my brain have turned on, but my personality hasn't. I'm not, you know, Mr. Toy Cat, the internet cat who talks about robots. That makes no sense, though. Are you sure you trust your doctor? Is that even how eyes work? I thought it was absurd, but he was a very, 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 like, smart doctor. I wasn't meant to have him. He was just like he's like the head of something, and he was like, well, I'm free, and you apparently had an appointment. You've been waiting for half an hour. It was the appointment I got for free though, because I kind of stole it. I walked away and I was like, well, I'm gonna do that now. Rags to riches, because Toy Cat is awesome and entertaining. Oh, I want to see what that's in response to, Justice Hillary. I wanna hear you shoot someone down by 400 people. I mean, like, you gotta remember the title is it's just an honest description of the content, while we talk about everything else. This is the most calming / chill stream I've ever watched. That's what I try to do sometimes. A lot of people who play video games are like, crazy! Oh no, we'll play, can we do it? And that's how you get the most views. That's just a known quantity, right? But you know, sometimes I think the thing I like about YouTube, and I'll say it time and time again, is that it's real. It's real people, real interactions. And YouTube goes away from that a lot of the time, but it's something I always try to go back to. It makes sense because you already have vision, and you get glasses contacts to have 20/20. That's how you get better vision. But I just don't, like, again, I don't understand for sure how all of the stuff works. I wish I did. I'm not an eye expert. It's just kind of a cool thing. You can have weak eye muscles or a deformed lens while having a high amount of cones. Is that what it is, maybe? You're not... I don't even know what having cones is. I think someone said earlier they had an extra cone, and I was like, does that even make sense? What even is a cone? I don't even know. How do eyes work? Why is it when you shut your eye, you don't see your eyelid? You see nothing. Like, now I've got my eyes shut, there's this field of vision, that's just gone. That's scary stuff. I know it must be a brain signal. But one of my worst fears, kind of relating to my previous point, is I have a huge fear. It happens every 4th dream or so of going blind. Big thank you, Newbie the Killer, for a $5 super chat. Love you, IBX Toycat. Thank you very much, Newbie the Killer. Really appreciate the super chat. But here's the wildest thing. I have so many dreams about losing my eyes that now even my dreams are not losing my eyes, but like my eyes not working. That now even when I'm inside other dreams about losing my eyes, I'm like, oh no, I've dreamed about this so much and now it's coming true because it's actually happened. And now I just live in this constant fear that like every dream I have about losing my eyes, I'm like, oh god, it's real now. But it's never real, it's another dream. But it makes the other dreams seem more real. It's a huge crisis I have. Honestly, dreams are the worst thing. Dreams are just like the very, very, very worst thing. So, in case you're curious, by the way, dreams don't have any synology. We don't even know how dreams work, right? It's just synapses fire at random, and then your brain interprets them in really, really odd ways. Also, are we going to fill another chest? Move on to another one? Okay, not just yet. Almost, though. When I get a gift card for my phone, I'm going to get Minecraft and then super chat you. Hey, thank you, Justice Hillary. I'm surprised you don't have Minecraft on your phone yet. Do you play it on any other platform? Or do you just one day stumble across, like, I don't know, communism and Minecraft or invading world and be like, you know, this guy's chill. Let's check it out. Can confirm I hate dreams. Oh yeah, I can imagine it must be worse if you actually have real fears that your dreams can exploit. It's weird though, because like, dreams, I feel like if you have 2 bad dreams, as in 2 awful dreams, it must come down to like, you know, that's a sign that your brain, when it randomly fires, it hits those points. Therefore, those points need to be hit. You know, a lot of people say the phrase, whatever helps you sleep at night. And there's kind of 2 ways you can take that. I've always thought, I mean, obviously people don't mean it literally, but it comes from people saying it literally. Because I think the biggest problem with murdering someone would be 1, thinking about it late at night, but 2, having dreams about the murder and my guilt about it. Because you can not think about something forever if you want to. You know, when was the last time I thought about... going to tell you an embarrassing moment right now. Once I was at my cousin's house. We'd just gone out for the day, but my cousin hadn't gone out. I didn't have very good vision at the time. I wasn't wearing glasses, and I hadn't had it fixed yet. So I saw someone laying on the sofa. I thought it was my cousin, and I said something super, super rude to them. Like, where were you? Ha 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 ha. And then it turned out it was like my cousin's, like, you know, stepdad or something. And it was like, oh, hi, Andrew. And I was like, oh god, cringe, 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 pain, pain, pain. But I don't think about it a lot in my dreams. It's not something to fix. Post-trauma is a large part of physical malady, so that makes sense. See, right? There's a logic to it, probably, kind of. Also, big thank you, Dr. Lirock, for the knock 23.79. Very precise. Super chat. What do you think about Norway? I swear this super chat comes in from so many Norwegians. Is this like a conspiracy to make me talk about how much I love Norway over and over again? No, Norway is legit one of my favorite countries. Every time I go there, I'm like, yeah, this is my thing. Big fan of this. Could live with this forever. But yeah, so the simple answer is, what do I think about Norway? I love Norway so much. One of my favorite countries. Easily, like, the best Nordic, maybe? I'm not even sure. I've dreamt about running around to houses, hiding from someone whilst it was raining. See, that's a nice normal dream to have. Don't have to have awful things about that. Oh, we got a new member. It's gonna show up, and I'll wait till it does. But love me some new members. Welcome to the club, Platypus plays. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay, it's never gonna show up. Did it show up and I missed it? Some large percent of my dreams are like normal dreams, except my eyes don't work right, and there's a really narrow FOV. Hey, there we go. Boop. Thank you so much, Platypus, for joining the club. If you don't know, that gives you access to the green name, which is awesome, as well as access to the Discord. Thank you so much for joining. Again, if you're curious as to how to do that, it's like a monthly contribution. I really value it. It's one of my favorite ways to show support because in YouTube's ups and downs, it's one of the best ways to like guarantee you know, income throughout the year, which, you know, I like. It's stability for me. If you don't care about it, that's fine. Also, big thank you, Alex Lees, for the £2 super chat. I'm sad I was late for this. Don't worry, there's still at least 8 minutes to go. Who knows how many more beyond 8, but there's at least 8 going on. It's going to be all good here. But yeah, no, thank you so much for sponsoring. I really, really, like, YouTubers say this all the time, and maybe you assume it's a ploy for more money. But honestly, monthly recurring, you know, like the reason on Twitch everyone goes after those subscribers, I think they're called there, and the reason on YouTube, you know, YouTubers want your sponsorships, and in particular me, is because over the year, you know, most YouTubers' income is quite variant, but mine in particular is because it depends on so many seasonal factors. During update season, I tend to get more views than during not. During certain months, the CPMs are crazy. Like right now, for instance, you know, I'll be honest, I'm hopefully not gonna, you know, be hurting for a bit because of the last couple of months, or the last month and this month. Usually very good. I've been very public about that. But yeah, like the support once a month is a really solid thing around that. I appreciate it a lot, man. Thank you, Platypus Players. I look forward to seeing you on the member channel. I have dreams about being chased by something running through dead people and not being able to scream or shout for help. Oh, so I think it's actually funny because everyone's kind of saying similar dreams here of like you don't have access to something you want to do, and that's horrifying, like being trapped almost, which is interesting. So I'm gonna kill this creeper, then I'm gonna kill this. You know, I'm just gonna actually let's go back to the sand. Let's just get this done. Same says Squid MC Gaming. It's funny how common that is. Also, good to see you have your sunglasses now. After you become a member for 3 months, I think you get the sunglasses. And then after a year, it becomes gold. I guess after like a year and 6 months or something, we can have gold and sunglasses. Why don't you move to Norway? I love Norway a lot, but there's no way I can deal with those prices, am I right? High quality puns of Toy Cat. But no, that legit is the reason I won't move to Norway. It's just too expensive. And as a YouTuber, I often think about ways I can move to countries where the living expenses are less. Like, for a really long time, my backup plan, it's hopefully, you know, like, I'm trying to pay off my house right now as fast as I can. But the plan is, like, the plan was always, like, okay, if I have a bad few months, I want to keep making the YouTube dream work no matter what it takes. So I'll move to Romania to make it work. Like that, I planned, like, oh yeah, internet's really good in Romania. There's like a thriving cam girl scene, which kind of supports the whole thing. It's a big thing that, like, in Romania, you know, there is good internet is my point. And it's very easy to set up a life there because they've got really low living expenses. So, yeah. My favorite country that was cheap that I'd like to live in would probably be, I don't know, like, Estonia, Tallinn, I think. The problem with that is, though, it's quite far away. But yeah, even though I love Norway, it's my favorite country. I think anyone who lives there is like, yep, things are pretty crazy. When you go to any other country that's not Norway, not Switzerland, you're like, wow, sure is nice here. Don't step onto the falling sand, you might suffocate. I don't think it's possible to suffocate under, like, I don't think it's possible to break blocks and then walk under them and suffocate that way. I'll try and find out for you that now, though. Let's see for sure. Let's go down a few blocks. Okay, just over here. Oh, you can in fact suffocate yourself. I always figured that you wouldn't be able to, like, walk into it before it hit the ground. But apparently you can. Now we know. I kind of hate that my name is Roman now, says Coffee Dog. Freeze 47. That's a lot of letters in numbers in your name. Do you have lucid dreams? IVX Toycat says Cameron B. Yeah, I have lucid dreams every now and then. I need to start learning. This is something I want to start thinking about. If my eyes aren't working, I'm probably in a dream. Because I have that dream so often where my eyes just aren't working. Like, I can see something, but I can't focus on it, or I can't look at it. Next time that happens, I'm going to be like, of course this is a dream. Take full advantage of it. I love lucid dreams so much. It's technically a mental disorder if you lucid dream. Like, not that not that there's any cure or that it's really a problem. But technically speaking, lucid dreaming is a mental disorder. It's a mental problem. But it's one I love having. Like, being able to control your dreams sometimes, it's the best thing. It is my favorite thing, in fact. And it's just so rare, though, that I'll notice I'm in a dream. Because I don't know. I don't think I sleep long enough. I usually tend to... I sleep like 8 hours a night, kind of max, usually. Because if I sleep too much more, I just feel like I'm wasting time. I could be spending... doing something else, you know. Like whenever I wake up in bed, I'm just like, man, you lazy man. You could be doing things, but you're here in bed. Good job, man. Good, you know, like high quality work ethic you got there. And it's probably not good to berate yourself while you're in bed, but you better believe I do it anyway. Okay, let's get all these blocks. Pick them all up, nice and easy, and now let's go deposit them. and keep it going. So we're about to reach 100 minutes, guys. Everyone excited? You better be excited. My eyes get broken when I have migraines. Says Eric is trash. Aaron is trash, like most people. Oh, you are trash and most people are trash too. That's a nice outlook to have on life. Use an app called Lucidity. It helps a lot. Oh, is there really an app for that? That's pretty cool, actually. Do you love Zelda? Says Carrie Selesnick. You went from making, like, backhanded comments about showering the whole time to, like, so what do you think about Zelda? What is your deal with Carrie Selesnick? Did you get bored of that? Like, what was the scoop of that? Anyway, how long have you played the game, and what's your favorite feature? Good question. I don't have an answer for it. No, there's some questions I think that, like, if I give you an answer on the spot, I'll give you a bad answer. So I'd rather just not give you an answer on the spot. Sorry if that's old-fashioned of me. But yeah, we're coming seriously close. We need just a chest and a half more of this. And we're good. I'm excited. What's your favorite video game other than... you made a Minecraft joke. I'm gonna say Minecraft anyway. Screw you, man. Like, I think the idea of disliking a game and calling it, like, even if it literally was 100% autistic people, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna dive into that one. But yeah, so what's your favorite pizza topping? You know, I'm going into too much Q&A. I ate a shower curtain 10 minutes ago, says Max Guy. Nice one. Do you know any Norwegian? Says Dr. Lerock with a 2461 super chat. What is your profile picture, by the way? Okay, so if you're watching this live, look at his profile picture. What is that? What? Like, it's a really old man chuckling to himself? I can't even... See, my eyes can't probably focus because it's too small. He's on a pillow, maybe? Do I speak any Norwegian? Ne norsk. Oh wait, Norge. Ne norsk. There you go, no Norwegian. I think I said. I could be wrong. No, I know tak is thank you. And I know that hey is hello and ne is no. Because ne and hello. No and hello are very similar words in Norwegian. 2461 NOK is 289. Norwegian. Yeah, all of the crown currencies, as in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, are roughly 10 to 1. Norway is more like 10 to 1. Sweden's more like 12 to 1. And Denmark is more like 8 to 1 to the pound, that is. It gets confusing with other currencies. Well done, you can go to Norway now. Here's the thing, Norway is another one of those countries where English proficiency is so high that, like, speaking Norwegian is like a rare occurrence. If you learned to speak Norwegian then went to Norway, you still wouldn't need to use it. You could use it for fun, but at some point it's like, well, why even use it for fun, you know? It's 1 to 8 to 52. Oh, I should clarify, I guess the pound's gone down a lot in value since I learned that. That's the worst thing about being British. Our currency went, like, garbage recently. Kind of like Canada did. But, like, it literally went from being 2 USD to every £1 to now 1.25 USD to the pound or something like that. Which is great because I get paid in dollars. But bad for, like, the rest of the country, which does not get paid in dollars. What do you think of George Bush and did he do 9/11? Yeah, exactly. I agree. Please dig dirt, says Discorded. Yeah, it feels really weird, like, leaving all this dirt behind, where it's kind of, like, made a weird river from it. But that's what we're doing today. We're mining sand for 100+ minutes. Not for that. Doesn't USD stay fairly consistent? Every currency gets measured against USD, so it's hard to say, like... Okay, you know, actually, currency of Toycan. Everyone, let's gather around the fire. Let's do currency of Toycan. So, no currency in the world is worth anything intrinsically, with very few exceptions. I'm sure you learned this at some point in history, but the US dollar is a fiat currency. Every other currency is a fiat currency. That means that they're currencies which have no backing. It used to be every bit of money you had was worth some amount of gold. So like every dollar was worth 1 troy ounce of gold or something like that. I don't know the numbers. It used to be silver before gold. But so every currency used to be worth gold. And then one day we're like, if we didn't back it with gold, we could print a whole bunch more. The actual reason why we had to start doing that was because, in case you're curious, by the way, so during World War II, America, because they stayed out of the war until the end, when they realized, oh, if we want to influence the world from now on, we have to get involved with this. So because America wasn't involved with World War II until the very end, the whole time every country was buying things, oil, weapons, ammo, from America. America was already quite wealthy. And because back then, like, money was considered like gold, America ended up with some huge percentage of the world's gold. Like, I don't actually know what percent it was, but some absurd high percent of the world's gold belonged to America. Like 80%, I want to say is right, maybe 90. So, because America had all the world's gold, every other currency couldn't be backed with gold anymore, because there just wasn't enough gold for it. So what happened instead is every currency became worth some amount of US dollars. So, also that used to be the case with MC Gaming. So basically what used to happen is your currency was guaranteed a value in US dollars. The pound was guaranteed every £1, or every £4 you'd get, no, every £1 you'd get 4 US dollars. And then every 4 US dollars you could change them for some amount of gold. That was how, you know, currency worked. And again, because only America had enough gold to make this whole system work. Every other country had to abandon the system anyway, and so a bunch of economists got around. I think it was Bretton Woods is the big conference, but there was a big conference where everyone just agreed every currency in the world, or at least every major developed currency of major Western powers, was pegged to the US dollars. And that was the system until, you know, from World War II all the way up until like 1965, which is when they had a huge conference with like major economists being like, look, the US can't afford this gold thing anymore. At one point, the French, just because they didn't really like the US, were like, hey, we're going to send a huge boat to America. We're picking up a bunch of that gold. And because America started losing all their gold to the rest of the world, and because they realized, like, hey, even though everyone trades their currency for ours, we don't think that's fair. So what ended up happening is America switched their currency off the system. But because of the legacy of that system, because every currency used to be tradable for US dollars, every currency is now still traded against the dollar because it's the #1 reserve currency. By the way, du snakker perfect norsk. Ah, tak. Look at me, Norwegian. But because of the legacy of that system, every currency is still measured against the US dollar, because it's also, and if you are a current country and you want to have reserves to back up your currency, instead of getting gold, because gold, it still will work some amount. Every country has some amount of gold. Instead, what you usually get is you get the US dollar. The US dollar used to be worth an amount of gold. Yeah, dollars were measured in gold. Gold was measured in dollars, etc. You could argue. But now, every country that is at least somewhat friendly with the US has some huge number of dollars. I'd be willing to bet even Russia, for instance, has a bunch of dollars lying around somewhere as like a security of their currency. Actually, let's check that. Does Russia have US dollars? Oh, thank you, Cool Echo Teacher, for the £5 super chat. You should come to New Zealand again, try more of our food. What food do you recommend, Cool Echo Teacher? So yeah, I love my time in New Zealand so much. I want to go again, but I don't want to go again until there's like a more interest. I don't want to take the exact same route again. And I don't think there's a better route than the one I took yet. I went Qatar Airways on the 772, I want to say. But like even on that plane, it was like, that was a journey. And you know, like which is kind of fun. Like it was a good time. But I'm waiting for them to like replace the plane on the route with a more exciting, more interesting one, or like maybe for like there to be a direct flight from the UK, because eventually that will happen. Before I go back to New Zealand, I'd love to, but I need to know. That's the story. So yeah, to finish up here. Actually, wait, I want to Google. Does Russia have US dollar reserves? List of current countries by foreign exchange reserves. There's a list of this? This is public knowledge? Huh. So, China has the largest foreign exchange reserves. Switzerland has the 3rd highest, surprisingly. The UK is like 14. The United States has less foreign currency than the Czech Republic or Iran. Huh, odd. Fun fact. Anyway, let's just search Russia. Oh, Russia is the 6th most. I don't know if it's in US dollars or if it's in all currencies. It doesn't say, but what's the number above your head? It's my subscriber count, in case you're curious. It's how many subscribers I have at the current moment. It's a nice number in my opinion. Okay, so yeah, US dollar. That's why the US dollar doesn't really go up or down in money, because it's kind of the it's the currency you measure other currencies against. Because currency can only be worth, you know, arbitrary amounts. You know, you can measure currency against goods, but goods go up and down in value. You can measure currency against gold, but that makes it seem bad. Eat Marmite from a jar, says Cool Echo Teacher. I did that actually. I have a subscriber. She's sometimes in the chat here. I don't know if I see her right now, but called Jessica Clark. Yeah, she says her name, Jessica Clark. And she was like, "You gotta try this." I think it might be Vegemite. And I just tried it on the spoon, and it is even stronger than the stuff we have here. It was brutal. I was decimated by that flavor, lack of flavor. I don't even know what to call Vegemite. Don't leave soon, you're so entertaining. Thank you, Justice Hillary, but sadly, sometime I eventually have to. I'm not sure what that time is, but it is. So again, if you read this, I'd be really happy. The other day, I was the viewer, and I really do love your videos. They're really good, and I enjoy them. Keep up the good work. That's a long comment, but I appreciate it, Adam. So what are you going to do when you reach 1 million? I haven't decided yet. Honestly, reaching 1 million isn't real for me yet. Like, when I'm at, like, 960 or something, it'll be real. But I'm just not too sure. Who eats Vegemite from a spoon? That's nuts, says Karen B. Your boy eats Vegemite from a spoon. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's worth 1% less every decade, I think. Do you mean gold, or do you mean... No, wait, so... Here's the thing. Money inflates at 2% a year. So arguably, money is worth 2% less a year. But when you compare it to the price of gold, I want to say it goes down even more than that. Basically, if you measure the US dollar against the US dollar, either the US dollar has always been worth $1, or it's worth significantly less now than the past. A pro tip, the reason why bank accounts are such a bad deal when they give you 1% interest is because you're effectively throwing away money. If you keep money under your bed, okay, so if 20 years ago, 30 years ago, let's say, you put money under your bed, that money has lost a huge amount of value. You should have spent it back then. If you put it in a bank account, probably didn't lose as much value, but it still would have made more sense to put it back then. The reason everyone invests in something that is finite is because that would actually go up in value relative to the money. A lot of things go down in relation to their price, but your spending power doesn't go up. Well, your spending power goes up because you have more choices and some things are cheaper. Food gets cheaper every year, so if you measure the dollar against food, the dollar is going up in value. If you measure the dollar against electronics, the dollar is going up in value. Or your currency, but we'll say the dollar because a lot of people are American. But when you measure the dollar against like finite assets like gold or property, the dollar has gone down significantly. You need to mine 1 million blanks, says Cool Echo Teacher. I like that we got the weird mixture. Like we got 2 donations via Streamlabs and 1 via YouTube. Just as a pro tip, I mean, if you can, I recommend via Streamlabs because YouTube doesn't take 30%. It doesn't bother me too much. I mean, if you want to do it, I'm down. But yeah, so honestly, me and the editor came up with the idea, like, why don't you mine 1 million blank? But bear in mind, in this stream, where I'm mining one of the easiest to mine blocks in the game, sand. It takes less than a second. Even though we've been mining for almost 2 hours now, I still haven't got 20,000. It would take, even if I chose sand, it would take me, what, 50 times 100 hours to mine 1 million blocks. It's a cool idea, but the practice is just a slog, you know? It's, I don't want to say unrealistic, but unrealistic. So, I guess we're just going to throw away these eggs, pick up the sand. I'm starting to run out of stream energy. So we're going to do 1 more big load, and then we'll probably call it a day. What use would you give to rotten flesh, Toycat? Says Cameron B. I would say it's really useful in terms of if you have literally no other food. Oh, I have no other food right now. And you need to eat something. Why not eat rotten flesh? That's the sales pitch right there. How many shovels have you gone through, says YT Gemma Pop? A depressing number of shovels. I try not to think about it too much. Yeah, one more inventory is all we need. Just one more. And we're golden. We can do this, guys. Let's power through. One more inventory. Second wind. But yeah, no, the longer I stream, the more my, like, social energy tends to go away. Which is kind of a fun thing. By the way, I got a weird message from someone called the Council of YouTube. And there's like a legit subreddit, everything, etc. set up as like a weird YouTube conspiratorial meeting style thing. And I just got a message right now and it's like, that's an odd thing. So in Soviet Minecraft, you eat the zombie. That's a good joke. I'm gonna have to reuse that at some point. AKA steal it. Aha. Are you an introvert? Says Lindsay Dillon. Yeah, I would describe myself as a really serious introvert. Because honestly, like, talking is drain. Like, again, I like having deep conversations. I love talking about the robots. I love talking about your vision and the US dollar currency and all that stuff. But eventually it just kind of takes it out of me. Oh, I was going to go make some food, but I just didn't. Let's go make sure we do that now, I guess. So land right here. Go down here. Grab 28 raw pork chops. That seems like food to me. And here's how you make good food. You light a fire and you throw your pork chops into it. Ah, that didn't work at all. It was almost as if I was being facetious. Okay, we're going to go over to this. One of these furnaces should have fuel in them. Ah, there we go. So I guess what we'll do is we'll take our... Oh, we've got glass in a lot of these furnaces already, apparently. Every furnace either has glass in already, or it has something else in already. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Perfect example. Easy stuff. Talking can be worse than exercise. I think I can talk for longer than I can exercise. It's just, you know, both of them have their own problems. Depression is not always obvious. I think it's the opposite. Actually, I mean, I guess it's also true that it's not all obvious, but it's a whole thing. Instead of throwing food in the fire, why not throw the gravel? Now, you have a golden idea right there, Sparks, yay. Let's do it. Oh, look at this value. Oh, it's so much better now. Okay, so we're going to use our pork chops. Just eat a little bit up to full health. Why are there so many torches, says Jackie Bennett. Before I had enchanted shovels, or when I had them, but thought it was better use to use torches, the way I drained this whole desert was I placed torches down underneath the sand. So there's a lot of torches here, okay? There's a lot of torches. I kind of want to cover the ground in torches. That could be a fun side project I should work on. Yeah, I might as well, I guess. Like, get some coal, make some torches, place the torches while I wait for this to happen. Sounds like a fun idea. So, one more of these, and then we'll just go off and do our thing. Maybe go to sleep first, actually. Seems like a good idea. Where did the name IBX Toycat come from? Give us the intriguing backstory, says Kizuna CAD. I've got a whole video focused on it. The reason I don't tell it every time it comes up is because it's kind of a... It's a long story that I don't think I can tell differently each time. I'm really cautious about retelling stories over and over again because, like, it's almost punishing your long-term subscribers in a way. So that's why I haven't told the story. Well, it's the same thing with Article 13. I've spoken about it before. Like, I mean, talking about it again isn't going to help anyone. Imperial Battalion 10, says Jura. See, that's Jura coming in with that knowledge. That extreme girlfriend knowledge. If he said... He already said in the past. Yeah, I've got a video on it, I recommend. If you want to watch the whole story. Because, you know, either I could tell it, but in short, and then kind of not make anyone happy. It's a whole thing. Please notice me, Toycat, says the Rad Knight. If you want to be noticed, you gotta say something that's not just please notice me. Okay, so just finish up the currency thing. Yeah, a lot of people aren't 100% aware, but currency is something that goes down over time. And that's why it's usually a good idea, and particularly with the wealthy classes, but for anyone to consider working out some other form to keep your money in. Because every gold is a questionable idea, usually pushed by conspiracy theorists who think the world's going to end. The problem is, though, if the world ends, like, no one's accepting gold. People accept, like, bullets, and people accept, like, food. But you don't need gold when the world's over. A lot of, I know it's a big thing in the Jewish communities, that jewelry's a good way to keep your money. because that way if you have to flee the country, you can take your jewelry with you. But on the other hand, it means someone can steal your jewelry, so it's kind of back and forths, honestly. Kind of swings and roundabouts. Which US state do you know the least about? I would say New Mexico. I don't know why it's called New Mexico. Like, and I spoke to someone from there once, and they were from one of the Native American tribes. And there's my knowledge on New Mexico. That was high quality. Make sure to like, favorite, subscribe for more high quality noted. Make sure you don't notice me, senpai. Exactly. Also, thank you, Holders Den, for the 99-cent super chat. Do appreciate you. I'll keep the bottle caps in mind. Honestly, like the Fallout Universe idea of using bottle caps currency, it's not too far off realistic, right? Because bottle caps, all you have to do is break down the factories, and even if you don't, like, starting up a factory would be hard enough. They're like, oh yeah, use bottle caps, works again. Like, I really want to know, like, what currency would be used in a post-apocalyptic society. I don't think it would be bottle caps or gold or bullets. But I don't have a theory on what it would be. Hey, do you know what Fortnite is? Says Super Nintendo YT. No, what's Fortnite? That sounds like an interesting concept. Please tell me more about it. So, do you know anything about Delaware? Says Hannah Tabel. So Delaware is the state where it's the state everyone forgets about because it's one of the least populated. It's got a huge circle at the top because of how they drew state boundaries all those years ago, and it has a huge banking industry because they've got some of the laxest banking laws. So all the banks base themselves there, and Delaware does very well on it. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. If the K-pop comes out tomorrow, what would you say? And do you think you'd get more subs faster? I don't know if I'd get more subscribers faster if the K-pop update actually comes out. I'm going to try not to talk about the K-pop update too much until like 1.14 is actually out. Because I know a lot of people are like, why is it this, not the K-pop update? It's like, okay. We can dream of 1.15 being the K-pop update instead. It's fine. It's fine. Which state do you think has the best flag? Clearly it's Maryland. Maryland. How do Americans get upset when I call it Maryland, but like Maryland. Maryland has the best flag by far, of course. It's absolutely beautiful. Easy question. What about Georgia, says Lindsay Dunn. I don't know much about Georgia, but what I do know is that it's that's my best Georgian impression. Sorry. No, I know Georgia is it's like the biggest South state that's not even really the South because it's actually doing quite well. Which the big characteristic of the American South is like not very economically well doing. But in Georgia, they've got a huge movie industry. I want to say there's more movies in Georgia than any other US state besides California. And so yeah, I would say that I think that's enough to know about Georgia. Like big stuff. Is that your state or is that just a state you want to learn more about? What about Michigan, says Squidinator. I know that Michigan is the state with Detroit in it. And there's two halves of Detroit. The top half, Detroit really wants to separate from the bottom half. But they're also the poorer half. And they've got a funny name for themselves, like the upper halfers. Can you stream Wind Waker, says Carrie Selesnick. I'm not responding to your questions. This is backhanded. I'm assuming Carrie is a girl, but whatever. If Georgia isn't South, Florida really isn't South. Yeah, that's the funny thing. There's like you can kind of group them by whatever they kind of fall into. So we got loads of messages came in. Georgia is a country in 3 continents. Georgia is a country which is in 3 continents. I don't believe that is true, unless you mean. Yeah, no, I like. Do you mean the country Georgia? Whatever. You know, this is too much for me. My brain is dying slowly due to our lax taxing of the industry. It's my state. We have Atlanta, which has a large airport. Oh yeah, Atlanta Airport is the busiest in the world by passengers. If you don't count domestic, it's... Oh no, we lost the... Oh no, we didn't. It's weird. If you don't count domestic, it's not. But because there's so many domestic flights in America, it is. And Also, funnily enough, the reason the airport's so big is because it gets tax incentives, too. You know, Georgia's one of those smart states, because instead of saying, like, hey, they can, you know, like, competitive industries that can be in any state, Georgia goes for a lot of effort to get in their state. And, like, if I was from one of the states, that's how I would play things, you know? By the way, big thank you, Ninja Creeper, for the $1 super chat. Appreciate you, man. Or woman. I mean, Ninja Creeper. I mean, statistically, they're probably a girl. For a brief period of time, I thought the country Georgia was named after the state. So, I mean, okay, on a technical level, you can argue that the country is kind of named after the same thing the state is named after. They both are named after St. George, but indirectly. Georgia's named after the King of England, George, and Georgia's named after the... every time I look into it, I get more confused. But I believe they're technically named after the same thing. So you can forgive yourself the tiniest bit for that. I didn't even know there was a country named Georgia. Yeah, there's it's a fairly new country. It used to be a republic in the USSR, so it wasn't a big deal. But Georgia is a country in the Caucasus region, a former Soviet republic. So, Cat, based on what you know about me, what state do you think I live in, says Squid MC Gaming? I'm going to assume... I don't think you've ever said anything that gives away what region of the US you're from. But because you like me and I'm British, I'm going to assume it's one of the original 13. That's my usual assumption. I assume you like me, at least. That's my hope. So, one of the original 13. It's probably not Delaware, because who lives in Delaware? Sorry, whatever that person's name was who lives in Delaware. I don't hate you. I hate Delaware. No, so, I'm gonna assume that you live in no, not Pennsylvania. I'm gonna give you a, give a strong, Massachusetts, is where you're from, guess. Before I saw it on a map, and schools don't really teach geography, so there's no way I'd know. I'm surprised US schools should probably teach about US geography, like, hey, there's 50 states, Georgia's the peach state, Florida's the orange state, New York is the Empire State, which is why there's the Empire State Building. Boom, boom, ding, 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 ding. You know, like, would be a fun idea. I think he lives in Ohio. What do you know about Ohio? I know Ohio sounds a lot like how Japanese people say hello. Ohio! You know, are they saying hello, or are they saying they really like the state to me? I don't know. Side note, that's actually how, that's the Japanese word for hi, like Ohio. So, that's a story right there. We don't even grow many peaches. It's called the Peaches State, and that's what we're just gonna accept, okay? Americans and their state names are like, you know, I know in America, like, the Florida orange isn't too big of a deal. Oh, actually, wait, one final story, actually. I really love this because Florida is known as the Orange State. I don't know how big oranges are there, but it's known as the Orange State. And an interesting side note from that is the fact that when I don't know what the US did, but it was under George Bush, the second one. The US really upset the EU, and the EU responded by targeting like all the swing states in America. So to target Florida, they're like, we're gonna raise the import tariffs on Floridian oranges. And I was like, that's a really clever symbolic move to just like make any US president be like, whoa, 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 no, 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 gonna back down on that one. So yeah, fun fact with you. I thought with the Sunshine State. Oh, one sec. Orange State. Ah, it seems as though I was wrong on that one. No, there is an Orange State. One sec. Okay, I'm gonna... Oh, Florida is the Alligator State, the Everglades State. Oh, the Sunshine State is the one used in license plates. So it's also known as the Orange State, but it's not. Georgia is known as the Cracker State. That seems a bit of a racist one. That's where all those crackers live. It's like, no, 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 no. Delaware is known as the chemical capital of the world. Jesus. The corporate capital. The Blue Hen State. The first state. Oh, Delaware is the first state. How nice. Oh, if you want to hear about US states some more. So this video is basically over. We're going to watch the sunset together. Oh, it's setting right now. So this video is over. As soon as I dump this stuff in, it's going to be over. But if I record another video tonight, it won't be up tonight because I'm gonna fall asleep as soon as it's done. Basically, I want to record a video about the US and how... I think the title will be something like, the US isn't a former British colony. Because I wanna make a... There's an interesting distinction between, like, countries the UK used to own and the US, and then, like, there's, like, separate buckets, you know? So, I'd love to talk about that. And if you want to hear about me talking about US states, how they were founded, how they got added, etc., which country they came from, then you can like watch a video on that sometime soon. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed today's live stream. I think we just about nailed how much. Wait, so that one. I'm gonna do the maths on this. I need 55,000 blocks. So we'll times this by 32, which is what we've got. So we needed 296 blocks less than we have here. Oh, we have to take away blocks. So I've got too many. I have 55,100 something blocks. No, wait, 55,200 blocks. Almost exactly, actually. So that's pretty cool, in my opinion. And it's going to come up in a video, but I'm also going to make a quick recommendation. And we're making a 2cat video all about the states. If you want to watch it, go check out IBX 2cat. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm dead, socially speaking, right now. So I'm gonna vanish. See you on Saturday. It's gonna be like a 7-hour stream version of this. And yeah, check it out. It's 11 a.m. UK time. That's 6 a.m. if you live on the East Coast. That's 3 a.m. if you live on the West Coast. And if you live in Australia, you know, like flip your screens upside down and then you'll work out the right time. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Gonna wave with both hands. That's how cool people wave.